are presenting you with the young people that is hosting and moderating that plan and came up with this District 2 City Council debates. All right. We definitely always want to encourage the young people to get involved in politics. And so what we have here is a 17-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 24-year-old that put this whole thing together. So please give them a round of applause. We got Mr. Jaden Perkins. Come on, Jaden. Olivia. Matthews. And Jada Lee. All right, so I'm gonna have them go ahead and do their thing. I'm Sherman Wells, community advocate, and what you see I have on today is part of a thing that we're starting, which is a community protection group. And so we will all have these uniforms on and be able to patrol North Omaha to make sure we keep it North Omaha safe. All right,
good evening, folks, and welcome to the first and only a debate for Omaha City Council District 2. I'm Olivia Matthews.
I'm Jaden Perkins.
And I'm Jada Lee. And we are honored to serve as your moderators for tonight's event.
North Omaha is full of vibrant, passionate, and diverse neighborhoods. District 2 is home to a history rich in culture, business, and community engagement. From 72nd and Ames to 24th Street, all the way down to the Missouri River, District 2 represents the heart of our city's growth, good trouble, and resilience.
We'd like to start off the evening by setting the intention for this sacred space. We are here to come together, to debate respectfully, and to elevate the voices right here in North Omaha. One of those voices just so happens to be here tonight to deliver the unification of the generation's address, 17-year-old Glaciana Perry.
Yes.
Ms. Perry is an award-winning public speaker offering her book, Why the Land We Cry, which is bestseller for over 2 weeks straight. It's not for future, even further. From award journey to an Oak Scholarship winner to youth leadership participation in the speaking for House in the MLK March, it is evident that Ms. Perry is an active community empowerer and activist. Without further ado, please join us in welcoming Ms. Glaciana Perry to deliver today's unification of the generation address.
In a world where generations have cried for stablemate, a reflection of this perspective stands at the crossroads where the vision moves its maker, justice and peace. Our elders have walked paths we have yet to tread. They have fought battles we now reap the benefits of. Their sacrifices, struggles, and victories lay the foundation for our progress today. While our young people have yet to walk with the armor, we must tell them that in order to win this race, we must run it together. No matter the age, no matter where you come from, old or new, our ancestors have fought their fight, and now it is our job to finish the course. Omaha is a city with history, culture, and resilience, and new precedents have summoned under the flags we bear. From generation to generation, it is essential to unite in a future rooted in progress and justice. The lessons of the past should not remain locked in history books or fading memories, but should be spoken, shared, and passed down to our youth to understand the power that they hold. Our elders have fought for civil rights, broke barriers, and paved opportunities that were once unimaginable. The struggles of yesterday have evolved into the challenges of today. Racial disparities, economic injustice, and social inequality. If we fail to connect, we risk the repeating mistakes of the past instead of learning from them. When young people engage with older generations, they gain knowledge that cannot be found in classrooms. They hear firsthand accounts of resistance, perseverance, and triumph. And in turn, elders are reinvigorated by the passion and fresh perspectives of youth who refuse to accept injustice. Imagine an Omaha where young activists collaborate with seasoned leaders to create policies that serve everyone. A city where wisdom and innovation walk hand in hand, ensuring that no voice is left unheard. If there be a better time, it is now. The world will not stop and wait on the hatred that infests the minds of the people who walk beneath us. Young people of Omaha, the time has come to stand up and choose you this day. Will you fight or die being unknown? And to my elders, the warriors who have paved the way, I say to you, rest assured, your voices have not gone unheard. Your struggles are not in vain. We carry your fire and we honor your sacrifices, and we will not stop until the dream becomes a leading reality that we live in. Uniting generations is not just about remembering the past. It's about shaping the future. It's about honoring those who came before us while preparing those who will come after us. If we can bridge this gap in Omaha, we can build a city where justice, equality, and opportunity are not just dreams, but realities. Because when generations unite, change is inevitable, and the future is unstoppable. Because tonight we speak for the past, we fight for the present, and we build for the future.
I know this.
Next, please welcome another North Omaha voice, Mr. LaBelle Wells, who has graciously agreed to present today's land acknowledgement.
Thank you for having me in our traditional ways. Please forgive me for speaking before the elders. My name is LaBelle Wells. I am from North Omaha, particularly the Local 5 Now projects, which is named after one of our chief from Omaha Nation. I'm half Omaha and half black. North Omaha is my community. Unfortunately, in my late teens, I made a lot of bad decisions. It was part of the destruction. Probably still is something that happens still going on today. But today in my life, I like to offer solutions and try to be part of the way of raising up North Omaha. One of our great Frank Ramirez said, North Omaha is a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
We have so many resources and stuff. We're a small community, and we come together, whatever that looks like, we can be powerful. I just like to give a land acknowledgement on behalf of my Omaha people. I come from the Register, and Register means elk clan, and forgive me, I forget the other one, it's a buffalo clan. But I'm learning as I go. I travel back and forth from here to my reservation, which is about 80 miles north of here. So, I represent both communities, and I have love for both communities. And I just hope and pray whoever gets elected can lead us the way and come together. But I think that's about it. But thank you for having me. Thank you for the knowledge of Omaha people. We was here 500 years ago roaming, killing buffaloes and whatnot, and we're still here. A lot of us have indigenous roots.
Yes, sir.
So we just try to figure it out. But I just would like to thank you for giving me this honor to represent my Omaha people. Thanks.
The theme of tonight's debate pertains to who will be a true voice of the people and to provide a platform for our District 2 City Council candidates to introduce themselves and their respective campaign initiatives.
In addition, candidates will be sharing their visions, addressing community concerns, and discussing policies that will shape the future of North Omaha at the grassroots local level. Community and candidates, thank you for being here. Whether participation occurs in person or online, each audience member today is an active and engaged citizen. Without further ado, allow us to commence.
Let's take a moment to introduce our candidates.
Yes, sir.
Please join us in welcoming Ben Gray. Wherever you like.
Oh, we're up.
Wherever you like.
10 years.
Miss Lavanya Goodwin. Mr. Michael Lee. Mr. Maurice Jones. Mr. Anthony Rogers Wright.
You don't know me, he's from out of town.
That's all right. He's here now.
He's from out of town.
He's here now.
Been here a long time, brother.
And Mr. William King. Joining us today, we also have Ms. Cheryl Weston. I believe that is all the candidates we have. Oh, wait, no, Tyrone, you're right. I see you back
I do want to point out, folks, that your current city councilwoman, Juanita Johnson, is not here by choice. So just make a note of that before we get started.
Each candidate will have an opportunity to share their perspective and debate amongst each other today on issues facing District 2. Topics of discussion today include housing and homelessness, economic development, public safety, infrastructure, youth engagement and education, diversity, equity and inclusion, climate and environment, and community engagement. Let's begin with the rules for tonight's debate.
To ensure a fair, unbiased, and productive debate, the following rules have been established. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening statements. Questions will be asked by the moderators, followed by an equal time of 90 seconds for responses from each candidate. Candidates will have 30 seconds for rebuttals when appropriate. Please respect the time limits. We will provide visual and verbal cues when your time is nearing an end. Audience members, we ask that you remain quiet during the debate. No applause, shouting, or interruptions. You'll have a chance to engage during the Q&A session towards the end. Finally, please respect the decorum of this event. Disrespectful or interruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Security is present tonight to ensure the safety of the candidates and those joining in person to watch tonight's debate. And don't forget, on your way out, we have to go to pasta dinners to be passed out to you as a thank you from the moderators. That being said, moderators would like to extend a special thank you to Meals to You 402 for catering this debate.
Without further ado, allow opening statements to commence, and we will start on our left here with Mr. Yuri.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. Can you hear me?
A little bit up.
Okay. I'm running for District 2 Council because in my travels in North Omaha, there are just too many young people and too many teenagers and young men and young women that are unemployed, young men and women that don't have jobs, that are homeless on the street. Too many of them where the spirit of motivation and the spirit of life has been driven out of them. And I believe that after I prayed about it and thought about it, I decided that perhaps I can make a difference. And I believe with existing programs out there right now, which are good, and but what we need is to get these young people jobs, get them summer jobs and stuff, so that they're working at different areas like Target or Baker's, and that they'll learn to get a paycheck. You know, it's very important for young people to compete in society, to learn how to work. A job can teach you many things. A job can teach you discipline. It teaches you how to wake up in the morning, teaches you not to be dependent upon your parents. A job can teach you so many things. So I decided that I'm going to run to try to help our young people, to bring them up, to give them self-confidence and power in their lives so that they can springboard from a city job into a job that will direct them for the rest of their lives, that they will have a purpose in their lives, that they won't be dependent upon the system. They'll have self-sustainability in their life. And that's what we all want. We all want self-sustainability in our lives. And that's the reason why I'm running.
Mr. Gray.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all for putting this on. And thank you all for doing the necessary work to make this come about today. So you all will give yourselves a hand, first of all, because you all did a great job putting this together. Look at the crowds you got here. Y'all did a nice job. I'm running for city council primarily because for 12 years, I have done some amazing things in North Omaha. And it is borne out by the state of North Omaha every year. It shows some of the things that we have done. You talked specifically about jobs for young people. In 2008, Willie Barney and myself founded the Step Up Summer Jobs program because we recognized early on the necessity when we were walking, and we were talking mostly with gang members at the time. And what they talked about was needing a job. So one of the things we did was created this program of summer jobs for young people. Right now, over 9,000 people have been through that program. 200 of them are working full time. We've started it year round now so that there's year round jobs, some jobs for people, adults and young people. The other reason I'm running though is because that's among the things, because that's among the issues that we deal with at the network on a regular basis. I'm running because we've done significant work in North Omaha. If you let former council member Brenda Council tell you, she will say that I did more in 12 years than all of the previous 3 council members combined. So I'm running to continue that work. The work is important. People might tell you that North Omaha is in decline. There is nothing that is further from the truth. Facts and data back up the fact that North Omaha is on the move, but we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of things we need to get done, and I want to be part of getting that done. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Lee?
I have to second and echo Mr. Gray here. Thank you all for putting this event on. It was great to be able to have this event hosted by young people. 5 years ago, I started this journey on getting out into my community, coming back and wanting to do political organizing. I worked for Senator McKinney, ran his first campaign, and now we see what youth leadership looks like. And so for me, this is just a continuation of the work that I constantly do. I want to make sure that when we talk about North Omaha, that we're investing and making intentional investments, that when we build and create affordable housing, we're doing it intentionally. I want to talk and invest into our youth because they need spaces and safe spaces that they can go and entertain themselves. So for me, this is just something that is constant of what I'm doing already now. And so my name is Mike Lee. I'm running for Omaha City Council here in North Omaha, and I hope to earn your vote on April 1st.
Ms. Goodwin?
Good evening, everybody. And again, thank you to those who are hosting this debate and for all the people who came out to hear our district candidates speak. I am an Omaha native. Went to Omaha Central before graduating from Creighton. The main part of my career I spent in online sales and marketing, working for companies like Omaha.com and WebMD before I moved into the nonprofit sector to start grassroots initiatives like Global Leadership Group, where we mentored young people in volunteerism and getting involved in their community. And then in 2020, started the North 24th Street Business Improvement District, where year to date, we raised $15 million to improve sidewalks, to support small businesses and other grassroots initiatives like safety and security. I'm running today on 3 initiatives. That is championing safety, beautifying neighborhoods, and supporting small businesses. Again, my work speaks for itself, and I believe North 24th Street is a blueprint for what we can do to expand really meaningful change across the Omaha City Council District 2, which includes downtown, North Downtown, and then North Omaha. Listen, you're going to hear a lot of rhetoric today, but I want everyone to peel back the details and listen to the people who actually have the experience doing the work. You've heard my voice championing safety. You've seen me in the community working toward change. You've seen my grassroots revitalization projects, and I can believe together we can raise up neighborhoods and move North Omaha along with the rest of the city of Omaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodman. Mr. Jones.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you for hosting this event and giving the opportunity for all of the community members that are present to meet their future leadership. My name is Maurice Jones. I was raised in the heart of North Omaha by my beautiful mother, April. She raised me along with my 2 siblings, and she worked hard as a single mom to provide a life for her family. She worked odd jobs to make ends meet. And no matter how hard she worked, no matter what she did, she struggled to provide for her family. And even as a kid, I understood that this was wrong, that a person could work all of their life to keep their head above water, but unable to achieve that baseline of comfort that this country promises all of its residents. It's because of that fact that 8 years ago, as a high school student, I ran for city council, and it's the same reason I'm running again this year. The reality is that in the last 2 decades, 26 years of my life, in 1998, the median household income was $50,000. Today, it's $48,000. Some say North Omaha is not in decline. It's sort of leveled out, but in 26 years, our families have not made more than they did in 1998 across the board. That's the average. That's a problem to me. There's record investment in this community. We talk about it all the time. We've seen the transformation on 30th Street and 24th Street, but who is the investment for? It's not the right investment.
That's it.
It might be a nice asset to a developer, but it's not a good asset for our community. And we have to be more intentional about bringing opportunities so our families can get ahead, so they have a chance to get by, and so they can pass something down to the next generation. Thank you. I look forward to being part of this.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. King?
Hello, my name is William King. I'm from this community. I was raised by a mother that couldn't read and write. We were raised by our neighbors. We actually was raised by loving thy neighbor. And so this is my platform. We got to get back to the essence of fostering the talent that we have in our neighborhoods, fostering neighborhood associations so we can find the talents that's in our community so we can build the dreams of the future. I'm a former probation officer. I know that preventative methods is the best methodology as far as criminality. I will push, I would negotiate with the mayor to make sure that the Step Up program that Ben started not only get $1 million, but get $10 million per year. So we can continue to have a decline in juvenile crime. We got to be intentional in regards to dealing with the other side. I'm the only one that have dealt with the Republican Party. I led the Republican Party election night party, a black man, a Democrat. And so I already got those relationships that's needed in order to bring economic development. And when it comes to education, I've been running basketball camps since the early 90s. And as you see right here, me handing a ball to Michael Jordan in 1999, showing the work that I have been doing in regards to getting kids in college. I have got many of young men and women in college. And so I want to make sure that we continue to invest in the coaches that's in this community, that's coaching our young people in order to get them in college. So we got to meet people where they are. We got to make sure that we invest in those that's already doing the work.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Wright?
Thank you. Thank you to y'all again for putting this on. My name is Anthony Carifa Rogers Wright. The slogan that we chose for this campaign is against the current together for two reasons: to pay homage to the original people of these lands known as Omaha, and to send the message that we can no longer go with the current to get the transformative change that we need. We have to go against the current lawmakers, more accountable to corporations, certain foundations, and developers than they are to the people. And yes, that means we have to go against the current of the poverty pimps in this community who are using the material conditions of the people to take the people's money and turn it into money for certain people. And we have to go against the current of unaccountable police that dehumanize our children, our elders, and everyone, even though they enjoy a bloated budget, and instead add to the issue of mass incarceration. And we have to go against the current that ignores environmental racism, including that OPPD power plant and a quintessential threat to all of our communities, climate change. Against the current reminds us of the benevolent soul who was walking along the river one day and saw somebody drowning. So he saved them. And then he saw another person drowning and he saved them too. And more people were coming down the river and drowning. So finally he started running up the street. And the people said, "Where are you going?" He said, "To find out why people are falling in the water in the first place." That's what going against the current means, getting to the source and the root causes of our problems, rather than using punchlines and other types of buzzwords to get us away from our problems. It's time to come together. It's time to stop going with the flow. It's time to go against the current. I hope I can count on your vote on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Wesley?
Saving the best. And this is wonderful. Thank you for putting it on. But you know what else? Thank you for coming out, because this is what District 2 needs. We're not counting on us showing up. We've got to show up come April 1st, 2025. That's it. I'm not new to fighting for North Omaha, and many of you know me. I'm used to being out there. I'm not someone who has just now come to the light and do the photo ops. I don't need to be out there. I need to be behind to make sure the work gets done, and that's me. I'm not like some of our candidates. I didn't switch. I'm a nonpartisan, independent, informed voter. And just because I decided to run, I didn't switch my party. I am not like some of my candidates. We need a change in city council. We need a change, someone who is going to be work. Because these next 4 years, you need someone you can trust, who has integrity and honesty. And I show up. No matter what someone says, I'm going to show up. I'm used to going to city council meetings. I know what. I can be active and ready to go on day one. I want where we have more community engagement like this, so that you know what's going on. I'm dedicated to advocate for education for our youth, and there's a bill coming up in the legislature, LB 556. They want to put our youth, 11 years old, in jail. Well, not happening. We need, and I want to stand up for that and speak. And I want to make sure this community starts to get information, because we need community engagement like we used to have. So I'm asking for your vote. You can help to make a difference when you elect me, and I'm ready to go day one.
Thank you, candidates.
We will now move into the main portion of the debate, where moderators will pose questions to the candidates. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond, followed by 30 seconds for rebuttals.
I'm just getting my timer reset. Our first section is going to be housing and homelessness, and this first question is going to be for Mr. Mike Lee. Our first debate discussion, as said, will be housing and homelessness. Omaha has been seeing increasing housing insecurity and homelessness, especially in underserved areas like North Omaha. Considering this, as well as the rent epidemic, what specific policies will you advocate for to increase affordable housing options in District 2?
Yeah. Earlier this week, I met with the homelessness director, Tamara Dreyer. and just to get a better handling of figuring out what the situation was, right? Because for me, it's making sure that I talk to the policy experts who know the information. And so we talked about putting together a homelessness plan, seeing what the city of Omaha plans on doing. But also, one of the things that I'm interested in doing is looking at the way that we evaluate housing, such as changing the area median income to a localized median income. There's something that Maurice has also mentioned, that we make $35,000 a year in our district. Having housing that addresses, and not only that, that complements that $35,000 a year that we make is important. But also going down to the legislature, something that me and Mr. Gray talked about today, right? They're talking about introducing a bill to limit rent control. And so for
eliminate
rent control, which is important, right? These are some of the policies that we are talking about when we talk about being intentional. That's things that I'm interested in. And so for me, making sure that we talk to the policy experts, making sure we talk to the people on the ground, and the community is constantly involved is the way that we have community solutions. So that's some of the things I'll do.
Ms. Weston, the same question goes for you. For reference, everyone's going to have a chance to answer all the same questions. We're just switching up the order for non-biased purposes. So, Ms. Weston, Omaha has seen increasing housing insecurity and homelessness, especially in underserved areas like North Omaha. Considering this, as well as the rent epidemic, what specific policies will you advocate for to increase affordable housing options in District 2?
Thank you for that question. I'm already doing that. And how am I doing that? Because I'm talking to people who have the opportunity and can make a difference in homelessness. Right now, it's said by the Omaha Community Foundation and the City of Omaha, by 2030, Omaha will have a 30,000 deficit for building affordable housing. I'm on the Spark board. What are we doing? We are trying to get young people out into North Omaha District 2 to be developers, to do affordable housing. I would like to see, and working on the city council, to put in with the TIP program that there must be a requirement for X percentage. You can talk about what that percentage be. But if you're going to have 51 new houses, you must have X percentage of affordable housing in that, or you don't get the TIP funds.
All right.
Those are things that can be done. That's what I want to work to do. We need to be able to make affordable housing for anyone who wants to buy, whether it's a first-time buyer, a person who's never been able to get a home until they're in their 50s and they want to downsize. We can do it, and we can do it together, because that's what gets things done. It's not an I thing, it's a together thing.
Did you have a
No, I just wanted to commend Ms. Cheryl for that plan. It was on my website first. It's called Tip for Tat. And I appreciate that Ms. Weston also agrees with that. And yes, let's come together for programs like Tip for Tat, because we're giving the developers everything while we are getting nothing, which is why we need more candidates and we need more lawmakers who are not in the pockets of the developers who did not sign the 2015 consent decree that gives formations like MAPOA way too much power. So go to my website, Ant for Omaha 2, to learn more about the real Tip for Tat program.
May I have a rebuttal on that?
Yes, ma'am.
My rebuttal is, I haven't seen your website. But I have testified for the city council as an opponent for affordable housing and the TIP program. So thank you for that. I'll check it out, but I'm already there. We have it.
Mr. Uri, same question to you. Omaha has seen increasing housing insecurity and homelessness, especially in North Omaha. Considering this as well as the rent epidemic, what specific policies will you advocate for to increase affordable housing options in District 2?
Okay, first of all, our neighborhoods are being decimated. Our neighborhoods are being destroyed. The once beautiful north side, the time period that I grew up with, were beautiful homes. Now everything is being gentrification is taking over neighborhoods. Corporate greed is coming in, and they're destroying the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods now are turning into slumlord residents. There's so many people now that are renting houses rather than buying houses on North Omaha because of the corporate greed that has come in. I propose that we create legislation to identify certain areas on the north side where they cannot come in and gentrify our neighborhood and destroy it. For too long, our neighborhoods now are being destroyed by these corporate greedy people that are coming in and destroying the whole neighborhood. And not only that, our old people are being thrown out of their homes.
That's right.
Old people can't even afford the mortgages, and then their houses are gone for taxes. We have to do better as a community to protect our old people in our community. There's too much going on right now, and we need to save our neighborhoods so that our children will have a neighborhood, that they'll know their neighbors, not just somebody who's in there for a little while and they're gone, but we need to preserve our neighborhoods, preserve the people in the neighborhood so that they have decent, beautiful housing, so that their families and their children will have dignity in their lives. That's what
Thank
we
you,
need
Mr. Uri.
in
I
North Omaha.
appreciate that. Any rebuttals? Moving forward, we're going to ask Mr. Gray the same question. Omaha has seen increasing housing insecurity and homelessness, especially in North Omaha.
Yes.
Considering this as well as the rent epidemic, what specific policies will you advocate for to increase affordable housing?
Well, let me tell you what I've done, first of all. You know, in the 12 years I was on the city council, one of the things we did, if you all go by 16th Street, you will see that there are 50 tiny houses. That was a project that I've been working on. So, because one of the things we wanted to do was make sure when people are in homelessness and they're in those kinds of situations, one of the things you want to do is make sure that you provide some incentive for people to move up. And so with these tiny houses, we were able to get people in there. They pay rent because they work. And so it gives them an opportunity to not pay so much rent, not pay any utilities at all, but gives them an opportunity to move up and move out. We did the same thing with military veterans, especially those Vietnam vets. A facility was built right on that campus for individuals who are military veterans who have been homeless for a significant period of time. Now you talk about what do we need to do? The first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the landlord registry is strong. That's one of the things that I put together before I left. When I left, things sort of went by the wayside, and it needs to come back. And we need to do it in a way so that when we get these slumlords that come into our town, we at least know who they are. Yeah. That's what it was for. The intent was to make sure with that landlord registry that we know people who are coming in, but we also know people know how to game the system. So you always got to look at legislation and the potential for amendment, because people will game the system and you have to be on top of it. Thank you all.
Ms. Weston?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it was just a question for former council member Gray.
Yes.
If he could explain why he signed the consent decree with the Metropolitan Omaha Property Owners Association that does not allow us to hold these landlords accountable. And does he take any donations from any member of the Metropolitan Omaha Property Owners Association?
No is the answer to your first question. But in the second question, city council members don't sign anything. Those things are signed by the law department and the mayor. We don't sign those things. That's just a quick answer. We don't sign it. I've never signed anything like that.
I don't know, man.
No, you do know. We don't sign. I don't sign anything like that.
My rebuttal is, yes, they did put 50 tiny homes, but where did they put those 50 tiny homes? Next to people who had bought their homes. Some of them haven't paid for them, and they have paid over $160,000 for those homes. They put those right next to that area. Those neighborhoods were upset, and they didn't even get an opportunity to voice that they did not want to. That's what we need to change. You need to know what's going on in your neighborhood.
That's right.
I would like to ask Ms. Weston, is she talking about NIMBYism, not in my backyard? We need a mixed socioeconomic community. So if you're saying you don't want people of low income living next to the homeowners, that sounds like what I heard.
Get your hearing checked.
Okay. And just, just really quickly, to Mr. Gray's previous point, this is the consent decree pursuant to Section 10, Part B. It states, in particular, city states that this agreement, the consent decree, has received the requisite approval from its city council and mayor, and the plaintiff states that it has received the requisite approval for this agreement from its governing board or official. You are a member of city council, you approved the consent decree. You may have not have signed it, but you certainly approved it.
You don't know what. Before you move, check the vote.
I appreciate
Okay.
the follow-up
Check the vote.
question to the first question is how do you,
We didn't get that.
We didn't get a chance to answer.
We didn't get a chance to answer.
sorry, got a little excited.
You
Thank you
got a
for
chance
making
to
that
answer.
adjustment.
I answered.
He answered, we didn't.
Okay, Ms. Goodwin,
Okay.
go ahead and start.
Well, it's a complex question, number one, because first of all, you talk about homelessness, and what the city council can do is increase that budget to where you have more than one homeless coordinator. If the problem's growing, you're going to need more capacity to actually address the problem. So that's number one. Number two, when you start talking about what the council can do, okay, we could use HUD dollars for site remediation that could help with development costs and actually lower them. I'm working with Spark Developer Academy. I'm actually a graduate myself, so I do understand the process of housing development. And right now, the cost of development is high. I also want to let you know, when you talk about who is development for, we've got young Black developers who are developing in North Omaha right now. So when people want to sow doubt, like development's not happening in North Omaha for us, by us, they don't know what they're talking about.
Have they worked on any of your properties?
Yes, they have. Thank you very much, City
Give
Auditor.
us their names.
So to continue, the homelessness and housing development issue are two separate issues, but they are interconnected. We need affordable housing. We need market rate housing, okay? And we also need mixed middle income housing if we're going to see North Omaha thrive. Thank you.
I'd like to remind our audience to be respectful
No
of the
interruptions.
candidates.
Thank you so much. You're gonna have to
I
leave.
apologize. I'm old and I got Alzheimer's, whatever. I might get an outburst, but somebody's gonna escort me out here because I'm 68 years old. I'm gone. So, thank you. But yeah.
Once again, I will remind the audience, we will have a chance to engage with candidates during the audience Q&A. Please stop interrupting and holding up the show.
I apologize.
Mr. Jones, do you need a question?
Yeah, if you could repeat the question,
Absolutely.
maybe the audience lost, it's all these interruptions.
Can you just be quiet, coyotes?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Omaha has seen increasing housing insecurity and homelessness, especially in underserved areas like North Omaha. Considering this, as well as the rent epidemic, what specific policies would you advocate for to increase affordable housing options in District 2?
Thank you for the question. This is a loaded question, and with the limited time, I'm going to get super specific to a problem that we have in this community, and it's called Vinebrook Homes. It's an Ohio-based company, and it is now one of the largest landlords. They brought over 250 homes since 2019 and own two-thirds of their property portfolio right here in North Omaha, a historically Black community. They use cash purchases, they waive inspections, and overbid on homes, making it impossible for local families to compete. Long-time tenants are being evicted or forced to pay significantly higher rents after their homes are bought by out-of-state firms. And in North Omaha, sales jumped 80% between 2020 and 2021, largely due to corporate investors. Now, if we had a landlord-tenant registry that actually had teeth, not just a feel-good policy, we could actually address this. We can require that these out-of-state landlords register a local property manager who is legally responsible for the property.
Yes.
We can limit bulk home purchases by corporate investors to prevent monopolization of local housing stock. When you own that many properties in this community, you can easily, just by a decision, to increase the rent, artificially inflate the market. That's unacceptable. And what I hope to offer you guys are answers to your questions, not just platitudes and words and back and forth. That's why we're in this situation. We cannot afford that sort of petty back and forth. We need substantive conversations, and I'm happy to provide that tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. And hopefully it goes different. I just wanted to say, because I thought Maurice was the last person to speak on this, but if you notice, no one once mentioned that they talked to the homelessness director. None of them sit there and say that they talk to the people, the public experts and policy experts who know the details. And so for me, I just want to show that. For me, it's about collaborating with the people who know the information and the community to get things done. And so I just wanted to finish that and point that out.
What I'd like to say that what Mr. Lee forgets is that the Spark Developer Academy is raising up Black developers building homes, okay? And I've worked with them to even look at state legislation as to how those developers can lower the cost of development. So, Mr. Lee, I strongly disagree with you on that. There's so much complexity to who you talk to, but to say that none of us have talked to anyone is actually just not true.
Can I have an opportunity to respond?
Mr. Jones?
We didn't start off that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Please no outbursts from the crowd.
Mr. Jones.
yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. The fact of the matter is that we have had a lot of investment in this community. Along 24th Street, we've seen record investment. We've seen record investment along 30th Street. But the question is it the right kind of investment? And if you're upset at the fact that we're making that fact known that it has not been the right investment, then you got to really ask yourself, do you understand what this community needs? This community needs Black generational wealth. We need to specifically we need to have targeted policies that redress the harm and the exploitation that has been done in this community. And we know there's Black developers. I flipped 10 homes, you're preaching to the choir on that. But the fact is we need to make sure that this big investment we've seen, millions and millions of dollars investment, goes to the people here.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Goodwin.
I would just like to say that there's a lot of rhetoric being talked about. And some of these people, I didn't even know until they filed for city council, okay? I am on the ground doing the work. And so you guys need to fact check yourself, because when they throw out shade about real processes that are really happening, they want you to think that you're not gonna do your homework. Do your homework. Investment is happening in North Omaha for us, by us.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, just quickly to Mr. Lee's point, since he's obviously been speaking with all the policy experts, he must be familiar with the Supreme Court case, Grant Pass v. Johnson, which of course allows the police to now arrest people for being homeless. So I hope that when he's been speaking with those policy experts, that he will join me and others in calling for the city council and law enforcement to stop criminalizing homelessness, because we don't need to put more people in our prisons. And the last thing that I'll say on this is that right now, thanks to we're always talking about Black faces, and Black faces in high places can save us. Chris Rogers is responsible for a $74 million juvenile facility that is empty right now. And what we are saying to people right now who are living on the streets is that we would rather keep that place empty than put them in. That is not a political issue, it's a moral issue.
We have to stay on schedule. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Lee, do you have a final rebuttal?
I know.
Ms. Weston?
I have a rebuttal.
Can we get King to answer?
All right, thank you.
My rebuttal is, some people keep saying about they've been on the ground. I sat on the Spark board, so I know what I'm talking about. I have been with developers. We have developed a whole new program, and we have made changes. Right now, we just received $6.5 million to put out there. So I know what's going on, and I've talked to the individuals. I talk to those who come to the developer school. We're talking to the bankers, because you got to get people to be able to buy a home. And if you don't have a job, you can't buy a home.
Thank you. We're now going to allow Mr. King to answer the question. Thank you for waiting so patiently. And a reminder to our candidates that rebuttal should be 30 seconds, and we will give you visual cues. Mr. King, do you need the repetition of the question?
No, I think in regards to homelessness, I've grown up in this community. homelessness increased because, they put, Sarah Francis House, they put all the homeless shelters in North Omaha. And also we have a high influx of pedophiles in North Omaha. So we gotta look at, everything. So like all the new immigrants all come to North Omaha. So that's why we have that's why we have these issues. And so, but also we gotta look at the land bank. And as Brother Jones said, since the land bank, came into existence, we have gotten poorer. Outside investments came in and have taken our land and have manipulated and raised the prices on our people. And when people talk about, all these projects, these millions of dollars they brought in, I have not seen any contractors taking advantage, any individual that have taken advantage of these millions of dollars that they say that have came into this community. We have gotten poorer. 43% of our children that in foster care are Black. The only place in America where the incarceration rate has risen for the Black men and boys is Omaha, Nebraska. Wow. And so we got to look at the holistic. We got to look at poverty. I know we want to look at housing and one singular, all these singular things, but we got to look at poverty as a whole. So we solve a complete problem. Now, I'm not going to argue between these individuals up here. We need true leadership that can listen to the community.
Right.
And that would be my passion.
I appreciate that response. We have a rebuttal from Mr. Fury, and then we'll go over to you, Mr. Wright, and then we will be done with this question.
Speaking on the homeless problem, I used to work in group homes. I worked in shelters. I know the plight of the poor. I went out on the street and fed them personally. I've washed their faces. I've talked to them. And what we need to understand that the homeless are not just some foreign people. The homeless are your family. It's your brothers, your aunts, your cousins, your grandfather out there upon the street. The problem with politics is that we have so many boards, but people don't know anything about the poor. They don't know anything about people. A lot of people sit on boards and make decisions, but they don't know anything about people and how to solve the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Fury.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to say this. Mr. King has been hanging out with Republicans too long because now he's starting to sound like one. There is no nexus between immigrants and so-called pedophilia. And unless he has the facts on that, shame on you, sir, for taking part in white supremacy ideology.
First of all, you gotta listen. You gotta listen. We gotta listen, first of all. Anytime new immigrants come to this community, they move to North Omaha.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
Period.
And that's a great thing.
So there's nothing wrong with that. First of all, please. So again, that creates a housing shortage. Also, I grew up in Hilltown Projects. I don't know where y'all grew up at, and they replaced them not with Black people, but with immigrants.
That's right.
And when I drive on 30th and Parker, where I grew up at, I don't see Black people. And I want to see our people, so we make sure that we have economic housing. Spencer, excuse me. No, hold on a second. No, they've been talking all day. Spencer, everybody
Let's keep it down so we can keep moving.
In order to try and keep some decor moving forward, we're going to allow each candidate to answer the question first before we do rebuttal, so folks don't get interrupted. Our follow-up question is, starting with Mr. Yuri, how do you propose to ensure landlords accept housing vouchers?
Okay.
Speak up, please, sir.
Okay, I think that there are many ways that we can do that. I think, like I said, we need legislatures to stop them, okay? And we need to enact laws and do what we can to create legislation so that they can't just come in and land grab everything around them. And, that is the problem. We're losing the whole community because of greed. And we're sitting back and looking and seeing our whole lives change right before us. So I propose that we need to create legislation in the city council chambers to identify these corporate greed people so that they will stop what they're doing, so that we can once again reclaim our community for our people once more. and that our children will have a destiny, and there will be lives of dignity once again.
Thank you, Mr. Uri. Mr. Gray, how do you propose to ensure landlords accept housing vouchers?
Well, that's what I was in Lincoln for today. You've got a legislature that is attempting to make it so that you don't have to take housing vouchers. They're also making it so that they're also they got a law that's in the legislature that's currently being debated now about rent control, because they know when several of us who are here today, who are candidates, they know when we get there, one of the things we're going to do is address the rental problem that continues to go on in this community. So what I have to do, first of all, is go to Lincoln and make sure those bills don't pass, or do whatever I can to keep those bills from passing. And I would encourage the rest of us to do the same thing. Go down there and make sure those bills don't pass, especially that rent control bill that they want to do.
All right. Mr. Lee, how do you propose to ensure landlords accept housing vouchers?
Look, right now you talked about the bill. There's a bill right now, I believe Senator McKinney is taking that bill up, where they'll be able to take on vouchers regardless, right, without restrictions. I think that when we talk about mobilizing our communities to do things like that, it's about partnership with our state elected officials, right? And so Senator McKinney definitely needed people in Lincoln today. He definitely needed people to submit public comment, right? Because when we show up, that's when Lincoln actually does things, right? They are counting on you and me not showing up in Lincoln, right? They don't want us to show up. It's the same thing that when I was a part of the legislative team to pass LB 1024, the North and South Omaha Recovery Bill, that one, we had to do a presentation to the entire legislature. And then two, we had to make sure that we mobilize our community to come out and get things done, to pass $550 million to invest into our community. And so collaborating with our community and our elected officials is going to be vital in doing that. And I'll do everything we need to.
Ms. Goodwin.
So I think that that's something that we really have to think about to see if it can be done. But I do think what you can do is you can hold OHA accountable. There needs to be an audit. If I'm elected city council, I will work with the council, the mayors, and others for an audit day one, because we need to hold OHA accountable. Who agrees with me on that? Thank you. First of all, we can also strengthen how code enforcement interacts with our housing to make sure that even our most vulnerable citizens are living in safe, clean, and affordable housing. So I think those are some low-hanging fruits that could be done first to ensure that the housing situation for our low-income residents and our elderly is secure, it's safe, and it's reputable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Jones.
I believe that in North Omaha, for every problem we face, there's a solution, there's a skill, there's a trade to address it. And we can't wait on somebody to come save us. And I don't have confidence that in light of the Trump's administration, with his cuts to critical government programs and his demands from politicians all across the country that they pledge allegiance to him, means we can't count on the state either. We can't keep looking at the state for our solutions. We have to radically grow our own. We have to focus on self-sufficiency. And, you know, as a person that has rented out properties before to folks, it's very easy just to see a voucher and say, well, that's not happening. So even if it's codified in law, there's still so much room for discrimination. It's so easy just to say no to somebody because of a voucher. The landlords that don't want to be on the voucher, as far as who they give their property to, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's much difficult to try to hold someone accountable.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. King.
I would agree with our brother Ben. We got to deal with legislation. Everything is legislation. We got to show up for Senator McKinney. He has done some incredible things, and if we back him up, I know he'll push that legislation through. I think that's initially what we have to do. And then also, this brother made a comment about Republicans. Half of the, 3/4 of the unicameral is Republicans. And if you have the attitude that we can't work with the other side, we'll never get anything done. Without a doubt. Thank you.
Yeah, I made a commitment to the people to always tell the truth. I'm so sorry that Mr. Lee and Mr. Gray drove to Lincoln to talk about HUD, Housing and Urban Development, which is a federal issue, not a state issue. So we need lawmakers who understand what I call the geographic symphony of local, state, federal, and county government. There's nothing that we can do, unfortunately, to force landlords to accept Section 8. That is a federal issue. Y'all should have driven to Don Bacon's office. But what I will say is that, just if I could get my reclaim my time, Maxine Waters, just really quickly, I agree with Mr. Jones in that we cannot always wait for solutions. We need to form more tenant unions and organize, and that's how we get our power. That's what we used to do, and that's what we can continue doing. I want to give a shout out to Omaha Tenants Union. They are in the house tonight. Speak with them afterwards because they are getting the power and bringing it back to the people and the tenants.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Weston.
Thank you for that question. And I partially agree with you, sir, is that you cannot force, the law says you cannot force a landlord to take a voucher. That's private. It's private property, private ownership. People up here who are talking, they need to know what the law is and the regulations and the ordinances. As far as OHA, the way it was set up, and it is underneath federal through HUD, which you may not have to worry about too much longer underneath this new administration.
That's right.
But it is the way it is set up. Omaha cannot dictate to OHA.
That's right.
We can only approve board members. That's all you can do. You cannot day one ask for an audit of them because they are federal.
We will now begin with.
Can I have a rebuttal? No, I need to have
We're
a
beginning with
rebuttal.
Ms. Goodwin.
Let me
Mr. Gray,
start
yes.
with, see, that's where you need to know who understands how government works and actually navigates government and who are theoretically just talking about government. The state and the city are connected. Ordinances and legislation are connected. So you can't, Maurice, eliminate working with the state. And further, HUD, Anthony, and Ms. Cheryl, flows down to the city. Yes, there's a symbiotic relationship there, but if you had worked with HUD in your past, you know that. And Cheryl, you said day one you'd be ready. And Anthony, you said that it's totally federal, but there's a symbiotic relationship that we need to understand as community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. We're going to go over to Mr. Gray, and then next to you, Mr. Gray.
I'm not going to take very long. I'm just going to correct Mr. Rogers right. What I went to Lincoln for were two bills in the legislature. They don't have anything to do with HUD. These are bills in the legislature to contain rent control and to work on making sure that if somebody tries to force vouchers, that it doesn't get done. That's what I went to Lincoln for. I didn't go to Lincoln for HUD. I went to Lincoln because they have bills in the legislature that will affect us.
I just want to say that, of course, we have to work with the state legislature. We're a creature of the state. We are a home rule city. That means we can to legislate and deal with matters that affect the city and anything in the incorporated limits. I'm not an idiot. I know we got to work with the state. The state deals with a lot of things that we can't deal with. But it's about how we think about how we approach the issues. And we can't wait on people to save us. We got to save ourselves. Our history as Black people is one of self-sufficiency, not self-deprecating compromises. And if we keep waiting for these white lawmakers in Lincoln to fix our problems for us, we ain't gonna get nowhere. That's why we're in the situation we're in.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, your rebuttal, Mr. Wright. Order, please. Thank you, audience, for your passion. Mr. Wright.
Yeah, Ms. Goodwin has a proclivity of assuming that she knows everybody's experience and what they do and what they don't do. You should probably ask more questions first. Of course, I have worked with HUD. I'm a national and international policy expert and policy analyst. I speak with federal lawmakers literally every day on calls. And I can tell you, I know how the government works. Of course, it draws down to the city and the state level. But when HUD is messing up, it becomes a federal issue. There's this thing in the Constitution. You should check it out. It's called the Supremacy Clause. And that will hopefully help you explain how the federal and state government actually.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Weston.
I agree with you. Anyway, we have been meeting, a group of us, some of us are right here in this room. We have been meeting with HUD regarding OHA. We were very instrumental in getting the class action suit going forth, so we know that. And again, as he said, if some people would take and read and not know everything, because nobody knows everything, They would know what the rules, the steps, and the procedure are with you working HUD. What HUD, you can go to the HUD, and HUD can stop the money flow, but they cannot stop the directions of Omaha Housing Authority.
Thank you, Mr. King.
I think they need to be like a mediation service. You know what I mean? So someone, it has to be a mediation service. Someone has to be the adult in the room. And we got to be able to mediate with the landlords, the tenants, you know, to come with a solution. And then get the lawmakers in the room and everyone else that have a common interest. And this is resolve this problem. We're doing too much bickering. We don't have time for bickering and arguing and policy and what you know and what you don't know. I get calls every day because of who I am, because of the platform that we have. I dealt with a call just this morning about a homeless man on the lady porch, right? Not too far from the tiny houses. And what are we gonna do about that? Did you guys get a call this morning about that? No.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Did you call the cops?
This thing,
I do this for real. I do this for real. I do this every day.
Thank you, Mr. King.
If you don't do it every day, be
Mr.
quiet.
Wright, your rebuttal.
Thank you. It's just a question and a point of order to the moderators. Is it normal for candidates to be getting text messages from one of their campaign operatives while they're on stage? I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. I didn't say you. I didn't say you.
Keep it down. Keep it down. Hold on. Keep it down because it's gonna make you leave if you can't be quiet. Candidate or a person in the audience, please be quiet. Thank you.
First of all, when you're from New York City and not from Omaha, this is what you do all the time. You create confusion.
We don't cheat.
We don't cheat. Hey, the point is,
did you receive a text message or not?
I don't care what I received. It's not your business.
Okay.
It's not your business.
It's not no.
It's not your business. It's not your business. And this is what New Yorkers do. They're very rude. You need to sweep your yard. That's why I feel.
This is not a name-calling event. This is a debate, and this is getting really childish, so we're going to move on and give Mr. Lee a rebuttal.
And the point is,
Thank you, Mr. King. Thank you, Mr. King.
It's crazy that only 2 of these candidates is under 30.
Calm down. Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
Like I said, there's only 2 of us is under 30, and yet this is wild. So I wanted to make sure that I got up to rebuttal because I'm sure that Anthony knows my name, and I'm glad that you're able to make it today. Now, it's very important that when we talk about doing the things that we talked about, right, such as supporting McKinney's bill, I'm guessing you guys haven't read it, but it takes political will, right? It takes doing the right things even when it's hard. It's doing the right things even when you might lose, right? And so for me, I know I can only do one thing: constantly try, constantly fight, and show up even when I lose. Because it's about when I win, we're gonna win together. And so for me, we talked about a whole lot of things, and I just want to make sure that we talk about the actual things that matter, and we answer the questions, right? And that we show, and when we show up in these public spaces, that we actually make the community proud of us. That's it.
The next question we were going to read was in fact about OHA and HUD, so we'll give you some statistics for that, and then we're going to move on to the next question in the next section. But considering most of you all spoke to this already, we're just going to do this for the audience. As of June 2024, OHA and the Department of Housing and Urban Development properties housed 75,000 Omahans. Considering Omaha has a population of 480,000 individuals, this would mean that OHA and HUD is housing about 15% of Omaha's entire population. The reason this topic is so important is because 15% of the population, therefore, is being subjected to deplorable living conditions such as rodents, bed bugs, mold, no heating, no air, no working elevators, and at worst, even death of the residents. These reports have gone unattended to, and 15% of our population is suffering. Thank you, candidates, for taking the time to respond to that question before we could even ask it. Moving on, we're going to allow the next moderators to answer the questions of economic development.
Okay, I got like where?
Yes.
So North Omaha has been faced with economic.
Loud, please. Pick up.
Sorry.
No, we can't hear you.
If we're quiet, we can hear.
Thank you, Olivia.
North Omaha has faced economic disparities for decades. How will you assure equitable investments in businesses and infrastructures for the district? Starting with you, Mr. Ray.
First of all, I believe there are three levels of tiers that we need to look at. We need to look at mentorship or mediation. Too long, we have businesses in the north side that even when they get money from the city or even get a place to have their business, as quickly as they are developed, they fail. So what we need is mentorship with these businesses so that we can identify and look at the problems, why the businesses on the north side continually to fail. What we need to do is to study the failure and then this mentorship that we can create with successful businesses like Target and Walmart and Walgreens. And these stores can help mentor these businesses on the north side. That's what I propose, that we can create a mentorship and that we can grow our growth in the city. And not only that, from a visionary sense, I think that we can even take that even farther, get sustainability until we can go to the city planning and just change the whole environment of North Omaha. So it'd be a place of beauty and aesthetic value. So we bring in people and populations from all over the city, that we can have a band area, a big band area, or an art area, so that we can bring commerce into North Omaha and not just little storefronts here and there, but we can create a mega force in North Omaha.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. Mr. Bright, same question.
Same question. Ask the question for me again, please. Restate it for me.
North Omaha has been faced with economic disparities for decades. How will you ensure equitable investments in businesses and infrastructures for this district?
By continuing to do some of the things that I've already done. When we brought in Walmart, we brought in Walmart because this was a food desert, and we needed to address the food desert issues. But more importantly, or just as important as the food desert, in 2008, when the bottom fell out and a lot of our seniors lost everything, and they all needed an extra check. One of the places they could go and get that was at Walmart. It was also a place where you got a lot of low-income housing that's around it. These people can walk to the store. So it's a convenience for people who have had to catch the bus to go all the way going down Ames one way or going down Ames another way with nothing in the middle. Now you have something in the middle. North Star the same way. We wanted to create a boys club for boys to be boys. And so we created that atmosphere and we created that building and those grounds so that these young people, especially young Black boys, can go somewhere to learn how to be boys. Some of the things that we've continued to do in this area surround what we've done through the Empowerment Network and others, because we have created significant numbers of jobs. We've created significant number of businesses and investment in the community. Over $2.5 billion have been added to the North Omaha community. So with those numbers, we can continue to grow and continue to do the things that we have done. And we've got an organization that can do it. Thank you all.
Mr. Lee, you need the question repeated?
So some of the first things that we could do, that I'll be willing to do, is to create a North Omaha economic plan. The same thing that the city is doing with Blackstone and the Urban Core Development Plan, right? We need to be intentional about the investments that we do, right? And so I completely disagree with Councilman Gray, right? I don't think that we can continue to do the same things that we've been doing because they don't work, right? And so while we're talking about $2.5 billion, while we talk about $2.5 billion supposedly being invested into this community, you, the people, probably don't feel it. You probably don't see it. And so I can only say that when economic development goes wrong, when it makes Chubb's close down, when it tells you that that you're supposed to be doing good and your streets are fine and we're bringing in businesses, yet that business also employs more people on Medicaid and food stamps than any other employer in the country? What are we talking about?
Exactly.
Right? And so for me, it's about building intentional economic development that works for the community. When I talk about being a public servant, it's about being a servant to you, the public. And so I just want to make sure that we talk about the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
But I do want to mention that there's somebody on this panel who has consistently talked about working with Senator McKinney about bringing over $235 million to the community. So which is it? So, well, yeah, but you said it, and now you're throwing doubt to it. So that's interesting to me. But I will talk about what I've done and what I'm currently doing. And that is, I've raised $15 million in economic development, $2 million for facade improvement through INSOAR, North and South Omaha Recovery Grant. Those dollars have not yet hit the people that it's intended to, because anybody who truly understands economic development knows it's a long game. I'm actually a member of the International Economic Development Council and a cohort or Economic Recovery Corps that is working for systematic transformational economic development change across the nation in urban, rural, and tribal communities. Okay, so I am actually an economic developer. I've also raised $13 million for streets and sidewalks for North 24th Street. And I will tell you, those projects are on their way. Anybody who wants to sow doubt into the process doesn't fully know the process. And one of the things I tell this community is get ready to take advantage of the construction jobs, the trade jobs, that these hundreds of millions of dollars that are designated to the near north side that are already here.
The way we've done economic development in this state and in this city has been through workforce development. Ben will take credit for his workforce program. And then the other way that they've done it is through tax incentives. We can't put the cart before the horse. And, you know, BIDs offer opportunities to improve this community, but without the right plan, they can be a tool for gentrification. They can displace residents and they can stifle local economic growth. We must ensure that any bid implementation is designed with the focus on entrepreneurial development and equitable economic opportunities for District 2. I said it earlier, we've got to level the playing field in Omaha and use these next 4 years to create a District 2 economic and cultural renaissance. We need to radically grow our own. We need to keep our money circulating in our own community. And we have to have a commitment to that. We have to have a conviction to that. We need to coordinate the system so that businesses can go from initial phase to midlife to something even greater than they even imagined. And we need to make sure that businesses have access to capital so that they can scale, so that they can offer a product or a service that they can not only market to North Omaha, but to the broader city. That's critical. We can't keep having plan after plan after plan. 26 years of no growth economically. A lot of economic growth, a lot of beautiful, a lot of nice capital assets for people that are doing real estate. I'll tell you that. But it ain't benefiting the people that live in this community.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. King.
Well, economic development is business. I'm the only one on this panel that actually have built two businesses. We own the longest Black radio station in the history of Nebraska. And then also I built an internet company in the poorest city in America, Macy, Nebraska. We're the only internet service provider, Black owned. We could do the same thing here. It takes a collective of innovators to get it done. Also, no one's talking about the future. We have kidpreneurs around here. And if we're not developing conduits of opportunities for the next generation, like entrepreneur hubs and interesting things like that for young people, they will never elevate economically. And then also we need to give young people a voice. And so we can hear their ideas, their objectives, their risks, their good risk taking in order to, so we can build their future also. And so if we're just looking at now, we'll never see the future. If we are looking at the past, we'll never see the future. And so we got to make sure that we're developing conduits of opportunity for the next generation. And right now, there's nothing for our young people to do. There's nothing for them to manifest. And so if we don't build that infrastructure now, we're going to be doomed.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Wright.
Thank you so much. You know, the first thing that I would say is I would never consider Walmart equitable business development. Walmart's business model is to take out small businesses, so that's one. The second thing that I will say is that to Ms. Goodwin's point, according to North Omaha scholars, $200 million has been invested since 1977 on North 24th Street, and we simply have not seen the results. This is the result, again, and I hate to say it, of the poverty pimps who take advantage of the material conditions and turn people's money into money for certain people. Where is this money going? We need more transparency, more people's assemblies so that we have a say in how those dollars are being used. Now, you also asked about infrastructure, so I think we should get to that as well. It is too bad that our city councilwoman is not here today because we really do need a city council member who will tell people about things like the Inflation Reduction Act, like the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. We may have missed that train, but hundreds of millions of dollars could have come to North Omaha. And the last thing that I'll say is that it's really, really interesting that both Congressman Don Bacon and Ms. Goodwin are both taking credit for this $15 million to 24th Street. Was it raised or did it come from the government? We got to tell the truth. We got to be transparent when we're talking about the people's money and make sure that they have a say in how it's being spent and allocated.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Weston.
You already brought out some points, so I'm not going to bring that again. But the problem, before I do that, would you repeat that question again?
Yes,
Because I want to
ma'am.
make sure I get all the points.
Yes, ma'am. North Omaha has faced economic disparities for decades. How will you ensure equitable investment in business and infrastructure for the district?
I thought I had. First of all, I can't ensure anything.
Right.
I can work towards trying to bring it. And one of the things we have to have is some community engagement because we need to know what you want.
That's right.
I am so tired of some people coming and telling us what we need and what we want. We need to know what do you want. And I want to address this $2.5 billion that somebody said that they brought here. Okay, well, you tell me where it's at. And that's the problem. You get all this money that comes, it's supposed to come to North Omaha, and it trickles down to only a few.
That's right.
A few organizations, a few people. So my thing is, I want to get to with that money, it gets circulated. And I need to know from you and what companies and how we can make it better so that it gets spread around. Because that's the problem. And if you look at what we live in right now, North Omaha, and they could say it hasn't declined. Oh, yes, we have declined. And I don't know where you've been driving, you can see the decline. And North 24th Street's been looking like North 24th Street since the riots.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. I believe Mr. Lee wanted to. Did you want to go? Or, all right, we'll go to Mr. Wright and then Mr. Jones.
Yeah, it's just quickly to name the facts. Mr. Lee tried to insinuate that I was not available last week or didn't show up. In fact, we were showing exactly what people's assemblies look like by inviting an international renowned human rights advocate and public advocate for people's assemblies, cooperative justice, and social housing. His name is Kali Akuno. We had the event, had about 60 people there. It was incredible. That's what organizing looks like, sir. You cannot have policy without organizing because that's like trying to put oil and water together.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Jones?
I just want to say I knock 250 doors every day. I talk to people all across this district. I finished 8 precincts by myself, and I hear a common theme. And I'm going to echo Mike Lee. They are not feeling it, and that's what matters the most. When you talk about North Omaha, that's what matters the most. The fact that I talked to a homeowner who couldn't even prune his tree, and the city's trying to force him to prune his tree. He's on a fixed income. He owns his house. But, so we need to create economic opportunity, real opportunity for people to create generational wealth for themselves so that they don't have to worry about the police pulling them over for an expired tag. So they don't have to worry about food access. We don't have to play in the dirt and grow our food when we can have meaningful economic progress where we can go buy our food. Families are stretched too thin. You think we're going to sit in the garden and grow our food? That's nice, but it's not the only way forward. We need real investment. We need real investment so our families can get ahead, so they can do everything that America has promised the American people.
We shouldn't look down on people who grow their own food.
I only have 30 seconds, but
I grow my own food, but it's just not a sustainable
Thank
thing
you,
for the
Mr. Jones
community.
and Mr. Wright.
Okay. Okay. I only got 30 seconds, but I'm going to give you some of the dollar totals that go to businesses in this community. For example, Justin Moore who was with Spencer Management, who came through the small emerging business ordinance. $3 million on his building on 24th and on Florence Boulevard in Ames. Heartland, the Highlander 75 North, 300 million. Next to that, down the street, Spencer Apartment, another 230 million.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gray. Ms. Goodwin?
I can tell you I can tell you where they all went, and they all went to us.
Listen, friends, some people are sowing doubt to the process because they don't understand it, and they're not from here, so they're not invested like we are. There's investment that is actually for small businesses, North and South Omaha Recovery Grant dollars that the BID does have for small businesses. Furthermore, listen, we can be partisan and stay in our corners, or we can work together and get what we deserve. I've worked across the aisle, yes, with Don Bacon, since it was mentioned, for streets and sidewalks and safety for North 24th Street. I didn't compromise myself, and I don't apologize for it, because up until then, do you know that there was 0 bus shelters on North 24th Street until I advocated for the very one, and I'm not satisfied, but we've raised money, $13 million for bus shelter and amenities. So listen, people are going to sow doubt because either they don't get it or they don't care.
All right, thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Jones?
I just want to say, we're not denying this investment. This is all good investment, but we need to put the right investment that have an impact on the bottom dollar that our families are making.
It's easy for you
If
to
our
say.
families are bleeding and can't even get to their job, this is not rhetoric. This is real life. People's lives are on the line. And if we don't elect the right leadership, people are going to continue to bleed slowly and slowly. Our
Fear
family,
tactics.
it's not a fear tactic. It's the truth. It is absolutely the truth, because I've lived the experience. I was raised by my mom, a single deaf mom. She worked hard to provide a life for us, and we never got that baseline of comfort. And she still works at Amazon at a warehouse. My stuff ain't perfect. Some people might pretend it is, but the truth is, it is not rhetoric, it is fact. And that's why we have a median household income that is less than it was when I was born in 1998. I mean, the facts are there. This is not in the world where we need facts. We should appreciate that fact. I'm 26. I don't know what I'm talking about, but wants to represent this community. Unacceptable.
We talk about this being in North 24th Street. District 2 is bigger than North 24th Street. I'm about North Omaha. That's what I'm about, is North Omaha, because it's bigger. And you want to talk about the BID in North 24th Street? Let me tell you, there's 9 BIDs. And you take a look. This started in 2020. You go to Benson, you can go to Blackstone, you can go to the Little Bohemian, you can go to South 13th, and they all started less time than 2020. And look at those. When you go to those, you see business.
Yes, we have all this money coming into the community. Yes,
Quiet down.
all this money coming into the community, but we still have potholes. We still have trash all over. Where's the beauty of the community? Where's that to inspire our children? Take some of this money and do something with it. And rather than talk about, I raised this amount and I raised this amount, where is it? I don't see it. Every time I drive down the street, I'm still driving over potholes. Something needs to be changed.
So first of all, I would like to correct that, yes, there are 9 BIDs, but the first one was started in Benson in like 1970. Okay, we were probably the 5th one started, and we've actually raised more money than all of them. Okay, but again, economic development is the long game. You're going to hear people just sow doubt. You're going to hear people sow fear. But what we need to do is get ready for what is already here, number one. Number two, government dollars are designated. You can't just take money and do what you want to do. If you say you're going to apply money for streetscapes, then you better do it. And in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see North 24th Street have $13 million of investment for streetscape plans. And that's something we should all be looking forward to take advantage of the opportunity for new construction jobs.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin.
Well, I think we heard a lot on that question. We heard a lot about economic development, what people did, what they said they did. Yet we're still at the problem of you don't feel it, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think that's the main part. I'm the only one who sit there again and said, I'll create a plan for North Omaha for an economic development plan, similar to the urban core, the one that the city is already doing. I am the only one who's focused on solutions because to me, I could care less if we raise the money if it doesn't benefit you.
Come on.
And so for me, I want to make sure that we keep talking about solutions because they matter. It does not matter about the rhetoric. I think people got on the stage and they think they know what politics is. And they're showing you right now what they think it is. It is the arguing. But they're not talking about the collaborating, about getting together with people you don't like at all and hashing out a bill. I've done that. I worked in those rooms. I'm committed to doing that at City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. We're going to move on to the subject of public safety for time's sake. This is a great discussion so far. So the first question for you all, according to a January 2024 article from the Flatwater Free Press, the Omaha Citizens Complaint Review Board has only reviewed 7 complaints against the Omaha Police Department over the past 4 years, including 0 in 2021 and 2022. This is significantly fewer than similar boards in cities like Lincoln, Kansas City, and Chicago. Given this disparity, what specific measures or ordinances would you propose to enhance the effectiveness and accessibility of Omaha Citizen Complaint Review Board to ensure robust civilian oversight of the police department? We'll start with Ms. Weston.
At one time, Omaha had a police auditor. And she was actually fired because she was doing her job, because she released a report that told the truth. And until you get power behind a civil community board, it's irrelevant. It has no power. It has no function. And I think that report was wrong in the number of complaints that were taken against the police department, and not one was found to be guilty against the police department. They were all taken away. So we can talk about it and talk about it, but until you have power behind any type of civil board, you have nothing but talk.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. Mr. Wright, same question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I definitely agree with Ms. Cheryl on pretty much all of her points. We need a city review board that is actually independent. Allowing the mayor to handpick our city review board people is simply not going to work. If we can elect Metropolitan Community College Board of Governors, we can also elect Metro Transit Board Authority people. We should be able to elect our city's citizen review board members as well. There's no reason why we can't do that. So that's number one. Number two, absolutely, we have to reinstate that independent auditor and get more transparency. And we can only do that if we have a people-centered budget. Now, our good friend Officer Jones here in 2020, when many of us were fighting against that police budget, he was standing right next to the chief and the mayor advocating for a bloated police budget that led to less accountability. So the last thing that I will say on this is that we also have to stop hiring bad cops. If you are a cop who is a domestic abuser or have done anything unbecoming of your duties in another department, you do not get to serve and protect the people of Omaha.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. King, same question. What specific measures would you advocate for to ensure robust oversight of the Omaha Citizen Complaint?
Well, Ms. Weston is totally correct. I mean, if you don't have subpoena power, then it's really useless. And so if we're going to advocate anything, you need a board that with subpoena power, and so we can actually investigate officers. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. And so we got to truly work with the mayor. And so we don't really have complaints. And so we need to do more stuff on the front end. But right now, obviously, the citizens don't trust the process, and that's the reason why there's not as many complaints. Obviously, we need some kind of conduit, some type of mediation, so citizens can feel comfortable. It's going to be up to the leadership to make it happen. I think if all the leaders from the state, all levels of leadership get together and demand it, then we can do something about it.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Jones, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. What specific measures would you propose to enhance the effectiveness and accessibility of the Citizen Complaint Review Board to ensure robust oversight and accountability?
Yeah, I'll start off by saying that our power is our vote. And just because you elect a new council member doesn't mean that all the things that was mentioned tonight will be able to go forward in the way that they think. I think that the community is in the best position to hold the police accountable, and I need I'm confident I'll win this race, and I need their support in doing that. I want to address Anthony's comment. I'm happy that I was a police officer, and I put myself in that position, and it wasn't for me, and I left the police department. I know that the police department needs a lot of improvements, they need a lot of change, and the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of Black people that like the police in this community still, whether you want to believe it or not. And they believe that the police play an important role in their safety and their security. And I just want to bring your attention to the fact that I'm proud of supporting our police department when I wasn't even a police officer by that time, by the way, but I'm proud of supporting the police department because many people don't know my history. I was helped by an officer who mentored me, who got me out of, I was living in poverty at a young age, and nobody else showed up, but that police officer did. So sometimes you would go on a path because of something somebody did for you. And it ain't about all the other things that some people try to make it out to be. It's just that simple. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones.
I think this community deserves to know why Maurice Jones is no longer a police officer and possibly even looking at his disciplinary record. Listen.
I'm happy to answer.
We have too many times when our city attorney or Douglas County attorney has made a call on police shooting for our Black and brown young men, and it's not acceptable. Okay, when there's a turnaround in 24 hours on a decision, we all know that our hearts sink. There should be a review for every single shooting that happens by police, and then we'll know. Thank you. Then we'll know. Because the truth of the matter is that the police should not be judge, jury, and executor.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Lee.
Okay, thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Given these disparities, what specific measures would you propose to enhance the effectiveness and accessibility of the Citizens Complaint Review Board for accountability purposes?
I agree with Mrs. Weston, right? I think we do need a public safety auditor back and reinstated. In 2020, because of George Floyd, I think everybody remembers the protest, the anger. I remember being out there in the crowd, upset, pissed off, from the James Scurlock, George Floyd, you name it, just upset. I was upset with the budget of the police department. I'm upset now. Even now, they're doing $225 million that the mayor is wanting to reinvest into the police department. I say, why don't we put that 20 million of it into the front end, right? And so when we talk about policing, I think North Omaha has too much over policing, right? We are 3 times more likely than any other place in the city to interact with a police officer. I think that's the issue. I'm one of the only candidates who will be pushing to reallocate funds from the police department's budget to be preventive, right? To focus that money on community and on youth. I'm also one of the only candidates probably up here who will not push for creation of new felonies, right? I think that we need to get out of that, right? When I worked in the legislature, the people who was calling Senator McKinney's office was Black and from this district.
All right, Mr. Lee, that's time. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, let me try and answer the question for you. In terms of the Citizen Review Board, I was opposed to it when they put it together. And the reason I was opposed to it because it provided false hope for this community. If they don't have subpoena power, it is not going to be possible to do anything to address any concerns that you might have with the Omaha Police Department. It's not going to happen. And you're not going to get, and the other thing I need to say to you all is that we can sit here and talk about all the things that we want to do, okay, as a city council member. If you don't get 3 other people to go with you, you're not going to get nothing done. You got to have 4. You got to have, if you can't count to 4, you're not getting anything done. I don't care what you say. But in terms of your question, I was opposed to the Citizen Review Board. I was concerned about the auditor because neither of them has subpoena power, and that's what we need, and nobody's gonna give it to you without a serious fight. Those are the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Uri, same question.
Yes, I think basically what we need is to prosecute these police. What we need is lawyers and basically prosecute them. If they're committing crimes, we need to take them to court, prosecute them, and find out exactly the crimes that they're committing. I think oftentimes, if you ever filed a police report before, there's no power to it. A lot of times you got to call down town and keep calling them because there's no power to this to that particular complaint. And even now, the mayor is running a commercial talking about the safety of the community, making sometimes the victims out of the enemies. You know that, and that's wrong. You know that to have a mayor that's constantly saying that we keeping the city of Omaha safe. Then who are you keeping them safe from? Who are you keeping them safe from? From the people in North Omaha. And that type of mentality needs to come to an end. And that's what I would do with you elect me.
I
Thank you, Mr. Uri. Mr. Wright.
I wanted to rebuttal to
Okay, Mr. Jones.
yes. I had
Please.
yeah, thank you. You know, it's really unfortunate that we have a candidate up here that would rather tear me down as a young black man and feed into, well, let me finish, please, and feed into the, the race baiting that white people do all the time to black people. You're a criminal, they try to challenge your credibility and say you're a criminal. The fact of the matter is, I still have I'm in good standing with the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center. I have a letter from the Human Rights and Relations Department with the City of Omaha that has me listed as rehireable. People need to understand that I didn't depend on OPD. That's why I left. I realized that system needs reform, and that I couldn't have the impact that I wanted to have. And I left not in lieu of termination or anything like that. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you, sure. Yeah, two things I would like to cover. Mr. Gray said, yes, we all can count, but we can also count to 15%. And that's why we need organizers. If the city won't do it, we, the people, will do it by getting things on the ballot initiative. We can do that through people's assemblies, because I think that all the people agree that the police need to be held more accountable. Now, Brother Lee earlier said that sometimes you have to make the hard decisions and hold your friends accountable, but we didn't see him saying anything when Senator Tony Vargas was running for Congress, bragging about $60 million to the cops and not $60 million to the people. So if we cannot call in our friends, we have no standing to call out our adversaries. Let's be consistent and put principles over party.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wright.
I simply want to say, I asked a question because I believe this community deserves transparency, and all of a sudden that's race baiting, and all of a sudden that's all those things. No, I simply asked a question. And yet, Maurice Jones in other debates has continued to use a race card that I think he's playing this community on. He thinks we're racially charged. He thinks we're racially divided. And I really think that we need to put an end to all of this race baiting that he started.
To use this platform, to use this format to allege things that are not factual.
I asked a question.
No, you didn't. You asked the question in a way that alleged something, that alleged some sort of misconduct, and that's just not true. And we don't need a council member that represents a community that's marginalized, a system impacted, to say to a young black man that's running and trying to do something for this community. Yeah, we don't need someone to say you're a criminal, so you don't get a second chance. Because I'm not a criminal, but imagine somebody that is a criminal that has restored themselves. She's going to have that mentality. You're a criminal.
All right, we're going to move on to. You got to
Yes.
Quiet down. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, please. All right, then we're going to move on to infrastructure next.
That'd be fine. My rebuttal is, if this is telling you anything, this election is so important. Not only just for city council, but for mayor. You need to be out, because as someone said, the mayor right now is running that commercial about public safety. That's a dog whistle for I will keep you safe from those people. And then the other rebuttal I have is, yes, you do have to work together on the city council and get 4 votes, but you really need 5, because if you only have 4, the mayor has veto power, and in order to override that veto, you got to come back and get 5. So if you only have 4 to begin with, it's hard to get the Republicans 3 to give you one of their votes.
All right. Thank you,
Everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. We'll move on to the issue of infrastructure and public transit.
Public transportation is a critical issue for many North Omaha residents. What will you do to improve and extend Omaha's transit system to make it more accessible and efficient?
First of all, I believe that it's most important that we have efficient transportation for all our residents in North Omaha. We have a lot of buses sometimes, but I think we can even scale down some of the buses so that we have more buses coming in. Because, you know, if you look, there's so many buses and there's nobody riding them sometimes. Some of them are just empty. So what we need to do is to, perhaps we can have mini buses sometimes at the elderly shelters and homes where they're at, so that they don't have to wait on the street for a bus. So we need to have more innovative ideas in the city for transportation. You know, too long, our bus system in the city is slow, it's stagnant. People wait too long to catch a bus. Then we need to improve the conditions of the city. Okay, that's what we need to do. We need to improve all the areas of the city so that people will have public transportation correctly in this city. And if they're not doing it right, then we need to sit down with them and find out how come these infrastructures are not being reliable in our city.
All right,
and among our
thank you, Mr. Gary. Mr. Gray, same question.
Same question. What we do about, say that again, transportation?
Public transportation being a critical issue for many North Omaha residents, what will you do to improve and expand upon Omaha's transit system to make it more accessible and efficient?
I would encourage people to run for the board of the metro area transit. That's what I would do, because they are the ones that have the authority to do that. The city, we can go back and we can advocate, we can talk to them, we can meet with them and all those kinds of things. But in terms of what they do, in terms of how they move around and how buses flow, that is done by the board of directors of Metro Area Transit, not the city of Omaha. We can have some influence, but the decision is theirs. And for me, I think I would be encouraged, especially if some of you young folks would run for that board.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, I think one, as a city council person, for me, I know that I would be communicating with the mayor to see if we could try to expand the streetcar to go down 16th Street, because at least if we got it, it might as well benefit us. But also because we know that they want to do expansive economic development on 16th Street, making sure that we do that and make it work for us intentionally. We have to make sure it all wraps around. Secondly, I agree with Councilman Ben Gray here, right? It's why I believe it's why Clarice supports my campaign for city council, because she knows that I will be working with her and the Regional Metro Transit Authority to really invest in transportation for North Omaha, right? And we have to do that through a variety of ways, right? And so being intentional by collaborating with our other elected officials and having that relationship already, I'm ready to start doing that on day one. And I look forward to working with Clarice with that now.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
I mean, it is true that the authority for transit belongs within the metro area transit, but also then the metro area planning agency. But again, I have raised $13 million to improve multimodal transportation along North 24th Street. I mean, people want to demonize that, but it's actually a fact that is solving a problem. We also have a current study that is looking at transit to the north and south route on North 24th Street. But transit in our city needs to be better connected. And I do believe I don't actually think that we should expand the streetcar because you're hardwiring a problem. But I do think that you can connect the streetcar to better bus transit and other modes of transportation.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Jones, same question.
The comment I'll make is that we will work with city planners, urban design experts, and others to connect North Omaha. This will be an ambitious project that creates a year-long plan to create smart pathways, connections, trails, and roads that allow residents to move easily and safely through District 2. Some of the best cities in the world are seen that way because of the diversity of travel options available to the residents and increasing access to businesses and services that make a neighborhood feel like home. And I'd like to point out some folks. So Spark CDI, the North Omaha Trail, as a model for what collaborative investment looks like and what community can do when they come together. MAPA, the Forever North, a strategy for housing and multi-modal transportation with North 24th Street. And Manny Cook, I saw him walk in, Christopher Wayne, Jeff, and then MoChif Omaha, Local Transportation Information Hub, and the pedestrian mobility organizations like Bike Walk Nebraska, Just Ride. And by the way, Black pedestrians and residents in Black communities are twice as likely for each mile walk to be struck and killed by a vehicle as white pedestrians. That's unacceptable. And I'm not going to offer any promises today, but I know that I will work on accelerating the social connectedness projects that we need in this community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. King, same question.
Well, I remember catching the bus with my mama in 1978 to get my first rap tape to Kmart, right on 72nd in Ames. And so I've been riding the bus for a long time. And so one of the things I would do, and then going to Bryan High, going to basketball practice, and the bus only go to Vases. That was their mayor at that time. And we had to walk from Harrison to Giles to get to Bryan High. And so I know that transportation is very, very important. I would encourage the mayor as well as the county board, since they don't really invest in MAPA, to allocate some dollars to MAPA, because MAPA is federal. And so we all can come together, invest in transportation, which will be good for the whole community. And so the mayor has, a whopping budget. Why can't she put some towards the transportation? We got the county budget. Why can't they put something towards transportation? We all benefit from it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it needs to be a collective where we put economics together. It's called collective economics, and it'll save money for everybody if we do that approach.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Rice.
Thank you so much. I am proud to be originally from New York City, a place that is known for its excellent public transportation. And one of the reasons why New York City has excellent public transportation is because it included the people in answering two key questions. Where do they need and want to go? And what are the best and efficient ways to get them there safely? So that's first and foremost. More People's Assemblies, hearing from people where they need to go and how they need to get there. I believe I'm the only candidate in this race calling for an Omaha to Lincoln bus line so that people can get to Lincoln without having to drive. 3 buses a day from Omaha, 3 buses a day from Lincoln. And guess what? The bus depot can be right here in North Omaha, which, yes, will be good for business as well. The last thing that I'll say on this, because time is short, is that we can also make those buses a solution to the climate crisis, not in addition to it, making sure that they are all electric buses. And here's the thing about electric buses. They can also be used as battery storage, because our friend Eric Williams isn't here tonight. So when our lights go out with every storm, because OPPD does not treat us the same, we can use those buses to keep the lights on as well. So last thing I'll say is that good transportation is a function of good planning. And so I agree with Mr. King that we need a city planning department that accounts for more than 0.9% of the city's budget.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Weston?
It is true that due to a legislative law that was passed in the last one, that we were able to get the Metro Transit Authority by elections instead of being appointed by the mayor. And we were fortunate enough, not only fortunate enough, but because we got out and voted, we were able to put a young person, Miss Clarice Dombeck. Thank you. I was trying to think of her name. She lives up the street. Anyway, we were able to get her onto the board, and that has made a difference. And if some of the board, these people up here, if you went to the meetings instead of just because you're running for office, now you go. If you went to the meetings, you would know all the changes that are taking place. There are 12 electric buses that were given to the city that are not being used. There's also new ideas to get older people and to use a kind of like a Uber for Metro, and they're changing the routes. So if you were in tune with it, other than just now running for office, you would know that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Weston. For the sake of time, there will be no rebuttals for this question. We're going to go ahead and move on to audience Q&A.
Okay. Okay, so audience Q&A. We're taking 10 questions, right? 30-second questions. And I'm number one. Okay? So my question to each one of y'all, okay? So in this community, I've been working hard. I decided not to run for city council because I'm more effective outside of the council. Okay? But over the years, we have done so much advocacy in this community. And I can't say I've seen none of y'all out here with me. From Mr. Levi Blake, who was missing. From the OHA Spencer project that was left open that me and Celeste advocated for. Because we didn't have to be city council to get on them about leaving that open with 83 sex offenders in the area. Okay? And the last thing was OHA dealing with bed bugs. And I want to show y'all this picture. Y'all can pass it around like school. But this is the stuff that we had to deal with while these residents was getting ate up by bed bugs. And not one of y'all was at city council helping us testify. Well, not, well, I'm corrected, Ms. Weston was. But nobody else. So my question is, how do y'all plan on working with grassroots advocates on the ground if you was to get in the city council?
Thank you for that correction. I'm just not the type that's always got to be out front. So a lot of the work that was being done when I worked with Sherman and I worked with Ms. Celeste, I was behind them. Because I know that it needs to be grassroots. It's got to be. That's what we might keep saying to. We've got to get back to having community engagement. We don't have that currently. We've got to hear from you. You need to come, like you're here tonight. When we host a meeting, come out, give your opinion. Don't sit back and then complain if we don't know what it is. But like Sherman said, I didn't see any of these people up here until citywide, and then, oh my God, they're running for office, and here they came. We are there, and we are been on the ground for the roots, the grassroots people, and that's what it's going to take. Because, as he said, we have power. You've got power, but you've got to get out and vote. You've got to support the individuals that are running.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. Mr. Wright.
Yeah, I just want to say, just because you don't see people doesn't mean they're not working.
Right.
First and foremost, I was absolutely in touch with Congressman Bacon and HUD about the OHA situation because I wanted to go straight to the source. I absolutely agree with Ms. Cheryl about more accessibility. I'm the only candidate who is committing to 20 hours a week of constituency office hours. That's just 4 hours a day. I will meet you anywhere you want to meet. Let's have a discussion. I'm committing to at least 4 town halls a year. When's the last time that we have had that? Yes, we do have to bring people together, but we can't blame the people if we don't give. Oh, look, no, come on, you got a little bit longer. Okay, two more things. And here's another way that we can keep people connected: a weekly newsletter. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Move on to Mr. King. Mr. King, please answer the question.
Well, you know, I've been doing the work a long time, and I'm not a media chaser. I own a media company. And so I've been talking about this. I've been talking about this since I've been coming back from college, and I got stats. So this picture from Kenyatta Bush when she got killed and kidnapped, and we did a fundraiser up at North High School. Where were y'all at when she got kidnapped? And so yeah, it is 30 years ago. We put in work, and I'm still continuing to work. Right. And so people are always talking about they doing work, but I got evidence of the work. And so I appreciate you, but I'm not a media chaser. I own a media company.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Johnson.
You know, I want to make sure that once we win this election, that we leave something that lives beyond me. Even we need things that are permanent fixtures of city government. The first thing we're going to do is an always open QR code that allows District 2 residents to give their feedback about what's happening in the community. This will allow residents to comment in real time as announcements are made, issues are addressed, and land is developed. We want residents to know that immediate feedback is encouraged so that we know exactly how they want to be kept in the loop as things develop. And real quick, number two, I know that I can't always be at every event, every conversation, but that doesn't mean that we can't create a system of engagement that builds a culture of hyper-local connectedness where everyone feels a depth of representation. So we need to bring all the neighborhood associations and create a community advisory board that works directly with the council member for that district so that we can aggregate those responses and focus on outcome solutions to our problems.
It's no doubt that the issues that have been advocated about and talked about are important. But to say you haven't heard my voice championing for safety, you haven't seen my face out in the community hosting cleanups and small revitalization projects, okay, advocating when our young people lose their lives due to gun violence, you know you have. There are so many challenges in this community that everybody can't advocate for everything. But the people in this room and the people in this community know what I do because I show up. I commend your work, and we need other people with that same energy to raise up and take on their cause because there's a lot of causes to be had. And so really, it is not going to be one person in the council that's going to save the world. We need to raise up neighborhoods. We need to get people engaged and involved. And you guys know over thousands of hours of volunteerism since 2014. So y'all know I'm real about advocacy. Thank you.
Half the job of being a city council person or elected official is showing up. Showing up when people need you, especially. It's why I communicate with Tamika, with Sherman, usually in the background because that's usually what I do. I love organizing, talking to people, but I usually don't like being in the front. I decided to run for city council because I understood that we need somebody in the seat who can also organize, mobilize the community, but also intentionally put forth plans and genuinely cares about community. And so that's why I decided to run. And so, yes, I can honestly say there's some things that I haven't showed up to, but I definitely made sure that I reached out to people after the fact to figure out what was going on. How can I help? Where can I assist?
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
And so that's something I'll continue to do as a city council.
Yeah, say that question for me again, Sherman.
Really, it's just about being there in the community. I know you were speaking about the Spencer project thing, but it's only 4 blocks off 24th Street. And
I have a jurisdiction.
so, but what I'm saying is, even like you asking the question, after you lost, where did you go? Because we didn't have you in the community to help us continue to navigate the issues in the community.
That was because I was doing some other things. When you, one of the things that you need to recognize is that, well, let's answer that because I want to answer your question first.
Yeah, that was the question, really, like, where is everybody?
Okay, you can't be at every place. And one of the things that two things I've been doing. One is I've been working with a company that wants to provide an app so that we can connect large and small businesses so that we control local spend, so that we're doing more local spending as opposed.
Hold on, go ahead, finish. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Take your time, sir.
When we get unruly, it gets frustrating. When you're sitting up here trying to answer the questions that you all think are significantly important, and they are. I was working with a company that's developing an app that we're trying to push in Omaha right now. I was listening to several people who at some of these business conventions and business meetings talk about the fact that they can't connect with large and small businesses. So I've been working with this company for the last 1.5 years, 2 years. As a matter of fact, we got funded by the state through the ARPA dollars to do some of the work to connect small businesses and large businesses. The other thing we've been doing is visiting different cities because cities call me and they call the network and they call other people and they want to know, how did you do the land bank? How did you do the landlord registry? What was that about? How did you engage in the small emerging business ordinance when they did away with affirmative action in their state? Those are some of the things that I've been doing. So you can't be here all the time, but I was here when I needed to be for City View. But more importantly, I created the landlord registry so that we can try and get some things done through that.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that from the time I was a child, I was in a protest with my mother at Woolworths in the early 60s. I'm that old. I remember going to Penny Park and we couldn't go in because they said we were niggas. I remember protesting against Penny Park. I remember in 1968 when I was chased by the police when George Wallace had something at the Civic Auditorium, and I was 13 years old. I remember in high school when we talked about Malcolm X, we were the first that went up there and cleaned out the whole lot up there. And people don't even remember that now. I worked with the people. I worked with the homeless. I worked in shelters. I worked in group homes for 13 years. So I know the plight of the poor and those that need help. I'm a humanitarian. I love all people. And I think that we should come together in this community so that we can build something effectively for our children that will last forever. And that's the reason why I'm running.
Next question, 30 seconds, Ms. Mix, and then right here. I got y'all. Hold on.
Okay, so.
Questions right here behind her. Go ahead.
So the question that I had, we have two candidates here that are under 30 years old, okay? What I would, and I've only heard from those two candidates about addressing issues that relate to our younger generation. Can we get some, quiet so they can hear my questions, please? Thank y'all.
Can you start over, ma'am?
I sure can.
Thank
Let
you
me
so
get up
much.
front so y'all can hear me good. Okay, so there's two candidates up here that are under 30. And honestly, those are the two candidates that I've heard talk about things that affect our younger generation. Okay? The generation before us left us hanging and did not pass that baton. And they left us to start from scratch. Okay? So my question is, how are y'all going to connect to not only the people, and I say the people because they already know what they need and they want. They don't need somebody coming in and telling them what they need and want. Talk to them. And most importantly, out of the people, our younger generation. How do y'all plan on supporting them and their needs?
You know, for me, right, I think for me and Maurice, we're the closest to the age. So a lot of these people are our friends, right? They're our family members, our cousins. And so does standing up, does that work better for everybody? And so, like I was saying, a lot of this, these are our people, our friends and our individuals. A lot of it's going to start with meeting people where they are, right? It's why I've been dedicating my campaign on Sundays in the evenings when the weather's been good this last time, meeting people at Carter Lake, because that's where young people like to go. Talking to them and meeting them where they are, communicating with them, sending text messages, working on social media, right? We have to be all inclusive of the way we reach out to young people. And doing that intentionally is the way that I know how to do things.
Thank you, Ms. Shirley. Ms. Goodwin?
So again, I've established Global Leadership Group and worked after school at Omaha North. So I was on the ground with young people before we moved that to the community garden. So that organization was designed to engage the young people. I also have several young adults under 30 on both of my boards because I believe that their voice and their insight matters, but you have to continue to connect, continue to have those conversations because it's an intergenerational approach that's really going to move North Omaha forward.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Gray?
Yes. Yes. How much time do I have?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, let me just like to do this real quick. I was co-founder of the Summer Jobs Program. So that's one thing that we've done. The other thing that I've done very quietly, I have mentored a number of people who were in gangs. A couple of them are in this room. And I do that on the down low because you got to meet them where they are. You got to go wherever they are. You got to meet them wherever they are. That has been the focus that I have been involved in for nearly 40 years, working with them.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. We have a saying in Sierra Leone, where my family is from, the old shall become new and the new shall become holy. So I absolutely agree with you. I believe I'm the only candidate that is calling for 16-year-olds to be able to vote for their school board members and eventually get to vote in all municipal elections. If they can drive a car, we should be able to trust them to have a real voice, not just get mentored. They're not waiting for a baton to get passed to them. Okay, and that's the bottom line. It's not just about talking to them, talking at them. It's about making sure they have actual power and making sure that we have to
Thank you,
listen to them.
Mr. Ryan.
Well, I need a. Oh, what?
You need to start it over.
Okay. What my goal would be, I mean, what we're doing right now, we're providing a conduit for young people to play their music, to express themselves, express their arts. Also, we will create entrepreneur hubs for young people to explore their God-given talents so they can manifest what God has put in them. I think that's what we need to do. We got to develop a conduit so they can develop their dreams.
I am working with young people right now. In fact, we even have an appointment set up with the young lady that's here, is try to work together. And one of my big things is I want community engagement. And I've said it here several times is I want to know what you want and what you need. But I'd also like to say, to pass a baton, you have to have somebody who's willing to accept it. So it's a two-way street. We cannot keep saying we are, we have let you down, or you have let us down, or you're not respecting us. It is a two-way street. We need to be able to communicate together.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. Mr. Uri?
I believe that the baton is real. And I believe my mother didn't die for nothing. I think the civil rights struggle was real. And I think they left us good batons. Okay, it's our responsibility to do something with it. It's our responsibility to make sure our young people have jobs, that they have fun entertainment in the summer rather than running around shooting and killing each other. It's our responsibility as men and women to make sure they're competing with fun and stuff in the community rather than destroying each other.
Thank you, Mr. Uri.
That it? Okay, next question, 30 seconds.
Hello, my name is Madriana Winfrey. I'm a 17-year-old who is also the co-founder of Lit Ladies in Information Technology, and I've also considered myself a youth policy advocate and civil engagement leader. Tonight, we have all heard a lot about what you have done in the past, and not a lot about what you can do. So as a first-time voter, I recognize the importance of addressing the issues that face our new generations and the concerns of the ongoing generations. So, given the youth are the future, what do you have what policies will you put in place to ensure that you have a balanced approach to meet the needs of the the younger generations, and to respect and honor the priorities that face the older generations?
Again, I would probably hire you. I'll hire you. to lead that initiative. I mean, honestly, Mr. Farrakhan said that we got to develop a skills bank, and the skills are in our community. We just got to put the energy in them and let them manifest their God-given talents. And so that would be my philosophy. That's how I was raised. Wesley House, the Boys Club, CETA, Project Invase, New Hope Baptist Church. And so that's how I was raised. So I would hire you.
Unfortunately, we did not have enough time to talk about a quintessential issue that people in your age group rank as one of the biggest issues, and that is the climate crisis. If we don't start fighting it right now, you're not going to have much of a future. And the good thing is that climate solutions do also create jobs. They clean up the air, they clean up the land, and they clean up the water. I believe I'm the only candidate with a comprehensive climate justice action plan and a green reconstruction investment plan to help people like you breathe clean air. And I was the only candidate who went with young people, some younger than you, to the state capitol to fight for the Environmental Rights Amendment to guarantee clean air, clean water, and a safe environment to all people so that you have a generation and a future to live to.
I sort of echoing off of what Mr. King said. I think that one way you can fit in youth perspective is that, city council members in 2025 make $44,211, which is why all city council members are also working at minimum one other full-time job. And with that amount of responsibilities, these elected officials have to engage with their constituents to provide critical information and be prepared to vote on multitude of weekly agenda items. City council members would greatly benefit from the addition of one dedicated staff person in their offices. And I think the youth have the energy and the to serve in that role, and it's more than a minimum wage if we could get it passed.
So again, I want to be very clear, the things I'm talking about today are not past. They are current projects and initiatives that are happening for our community today. Now, on a very regular basis, from March to October, we get out on Saturdays and we help clean up the community. We teach gardening skills. We engage with the youth. Again, currently on both Global Leadership's Board, as well as the North 24th Street Business Improvement District's Board, we have young adults that are 30 or younger participating. Further, I believe that when I am the city council member representing District 2, I do want to engage high school and college students within the process of city council.
Mr. Lee?
Firstly, Maji, if you don't know Maji, Maji is like a great young person, right? She does the activation, does the activism, does the canvassing, all that stuff. So I know for me, I am committed to making sure that young people have a livable job. And when I say that, I'm talking about like $22, $25 an hour. And I do that with everything that I do, right? That's why I employ people, young people, pay them $22 an hour. And so when we say that, we have to be intentional about everything that we go about doing that. And so I can finish up just a couple of my thoughts. With that, I think that one, we need to make sure that we're collaborating with young people and having a young person's council, right? When we do town halls, we need to make sure that we're collaborating with both people.
Mr. Lee? Mr. Gray?
Yes. One of the things that I would do, what I attempted to do when I was on the city council, and it didn't work for a variety of reasons on both sides, was to try an internship through the city council. I did the same thing when I was in television for 8 years. We ran a program that did nothing but hire gang members, and I worked with them. So those are some of the things that I would do. But more importantly, I think what we would do is stick to what we know works with our summer jobs program. Continuing to work with, because these young people are doing things like robotics, they're building drones, they're flying drones, that's what I would, those are among the things I would do. Internships are important.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Gary?
Yes, I think that it's important. Of course, we need jobs for our young people, but we need to engage their minds. We need to make summers fun for them too, so that they can have baseball leagues and stuff in the city. And the city can pay for the uniforms of basketball leagues. We need to engage their minds. When I was growing up, we had the show wagon, and we could also have summer talent shows now, so that these young people are not just running around, but they're competing against each other. And that will give them strength for the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. And is that, I would like to see more involvement in youth. I would like to see how we could get individual youth to come to the city council meetings and not be recognized for an award for sports or something that they did, but be involved in it, have a separate. I like to work with the school board members, Bree and Ms. Kimber here, what can we do? Right now, we should be having something to get you and those that are 17, because you can vote, is to get something in the school system to help make sure that you are aware.
All right, next question, 30 seconds.
All you an apology, Mr. Gray.
What's that?
All you an apology. I'm sorry, I was passionate. So I'm big on economics. The last debate, I heard a lot about, I heard the quote, what would it look like? And we need to. So my question is, between those two, what are you doing when it comes to economic development? And then how are you measuring those outcomes? And then is there anybody in the room you helped, as witnesses to say, hey, these are people that I've helped, etc. Thank you.
So I'd like to start by saying again, we've raised $2 million, and yes, it is awarded or raised, you could use that word different ways, for North 24th Street small businesses. And our focus are going to be those legacy businesses that that have been there, that are iconic, to make sure they have the buildings and the restoration to be present as the community moves forward. So that's current. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Mr. Jones?
5 years ago, I started a property management company and a real estate investment company, and it started off as nothing, but it's grown to something. And I've managed to help 10 families who own their homes outright, but were on fixed incomes, that couldn't get a second mortgage to improve their property. And it's really unfortunate because they're getting set up to be pushed out of their homes with people on fixed incomes, their property taxes going up, and inflation and all the things under the sun. But I'm happy to talk about it afterwards. Thank you.
Mr. King?
I think my effort actually has been helping people. My platform is to highlight the greatness in our community. So I interview everybody, almost everybody that's doing anything in this community that's manifesting their greatness. And so that's what I do. I'm gonna do it today, tomorrow, until God took me home. And then the last question: how many people have you helped? How many people have I interviewed in here, or have I manifested their activities? Can I see some hands? That's a lot of people that actually help. So we got to make sure that we actually bring in tangible people that we actually help.
I'll just be honest with you, brother. Most of my work is in mutual aid. I don't think that everything that should be done for a profit. I believe sometimes things just need to be done to provide basic services, whether it's food, clean water, and clean air. But since you are talking about economic development, there is a lot of money that has been circulating around. And again, I would like to make it more transparent for you. Those ARPA funds were not supposed to go to a bunch of nonprofits. They were supposed to go to business development. And all I'm saying, last thing I say, if I can reclaim my time for a second, is that Sankofa did not exist before those ARPA funds were written. That's all I'm going to say.
I've helped a lot of people in this room, and I don't feel like I want you to raise your hand. It's just a rhetorical question. I've done things in business. I've had several businesses. I was able to bring 300 million, because we like to say, I worked with people and we had 300 million, and some of you were here when we had the lead cleanup, and they were making back then $26 and $32 an hour. So I've helped people, and I understand that. And I think economics is very important, because without that, we can't have anything else.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. Mr. Gary?
Yes, I believe that when it comes to economic development, investment in our people is the most important. We can have all the programs in the world, and we can still fail. Programs don't save us. People will save us. Our neighborhoods is the economic development. If you can touch a young man like I did, bought him a bicycle for Christmas, that'll stop him from going to jail, stop him from destroying his life. That's economic development when we save our community and our people. We're so programmed and conscious that we can't think anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Mr. Gray?
The question again.
He already answered.
Yeah.
That's everybody.
No, I didn't answer.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Myron, can you say the?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't feel like our questions are being answered.
It's okay.
That's why I was asking.
Right, the best way to stop a bullet is to help somebody start a business. And we have all these companies coming in here, and we're partnering with these big box companies, and they stealing from our people. We need real ownership. And so my question is how are we moving the ball forward in home ownership, in workforce development, in entrepreneurship, so that we can really win? It's a shame that I go to Atlanta. It's a shame that I have to go to Cali. It's a shame that I have to go to Colorado to start hubs like this, and it not happen in our city. And so that's what we're wondering. How are we going to move this ball forward together so that we can do it collectively? And what is your plan to work with each other if you don't win?
Right. Go ahead, Mike.
That's my question.
So
How are we going to do the work together?
All right, let Mike answer.
So I know one thing that we talked about is definitely what we're doing to invest and create an incubator for small businesses for the community. One thing that I've done when my part in the legislature, we helped draft the bill and pass the bill that created iHub. That's what we're calling it. It's called an innovation hub, which where small business can go to learn and train up, but also receive funds, right, from the state. So you're completely right? We need to make sure that we're investing in things like that. And when the iHub is finally built and we're picking a site, making sure that you're involved is important.
Is that everybody?
I just wanted to answer his question. I thought the specific question was what did we do? But I'm happy to revisit the second question, which is, we need to coordinate the system. There's a lot of resources already to help businesses in the city. We need to coordinate the system and connect people to those systems. It's a slap in the face to the people doing the work like Julian Young, a number of other folks that are being that bridge to put people on a successful track. And we need to capitalize off of that. And we need to continue building on those programs. Thank you.
You don't know Myron Pierce? You don't know Myron
Well,
Pierce then?
I know Myron Pierce, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
One down. Next question, quick, 30 seconds.
My name is Gwen Easter. I'm the founder of Safe Haven Community Center and Safe Haven Early Childhood Preschool Education Academy. 10 years ago, the monopoly that took place to push out over thousands of daycares, including my own, my second, and now my other one continues to struggle because a rich billionaire came into this community, monopolized this community. Our councilman helped him to do so. There are daycares who are still struggling to get kids in into their businesses. I want to know what you all going to do to help fix that, to help me fix what I started. I started my own programs and services. Some of those programs and services are being duplicated by other people now. And I want to know how y'all going to do to help us with that. Okay? Because I had an education program.
Ms. Easter.
I had a housing program.
Let's let the candidates answer the questions, please, and thank you.
And I'm still struggling. I work hard for my
Ms. Easter.
All right, Mr. Bounds.
I work hard for my credit.
Well, Gwen, if you want to stay, all right. Well, I had this conversation with Gwen, and understandably, her life, her livelihood was, shaken up. Not just shaken up, but she lost a lot. And we have to understand that she's passionate about this because she spent her whole life. I remember my grandpa's house right on the corner, but I need more information. But at the face of it, it's concerning. But people also deserve to have options other than just the at-home daycares. There's certain quality standards that need to be met, and we've seen some questionable things happen with our kids being cared for by individuals in their homes. Well, it's the truth.
What I wanted to
Anthony, go ahead.
Thank you. What I wanted to say to you, Ms. Easter, is I'm the only candidate that is calling for 100% universal free pre-K childcare, building off the infrastructure of businesses like yours. The city will work directly with you because you have proven that you are successful at it. I'm very, very, very sorry with what happened to you. But yes, you do have to speak to your former city council member, Ben There, Done That Gray, and why he decided to work with Susie Buffett in turning this community into her own personal plantation. So I agree with you on that.
Anybody else want to answer the question?
You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can. But be quiet 1 second. Give Mr. Lee the floor.
All right, Mr. Lee.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lee, 30 seconds.
Well, Gwen, I'm glad that you showed up tonight and voiced your ideas. I've talked to her in the legislature for a couple of years when I worked there, and that is something that she constantly brought up as an issue, right? And so I think that, one, we do need to address it because I know for me, I grew up in a household with 13 cousins, right? Just about, and my grandma took care of them all in one house, and that was daycare, and that was summer after school, all right? And so that is a part of our community, but making sure we do it in a way that benefits the small business owner and the community is something that we need to make sure.
Anybody else want to answer her question?
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. King.
Well, I was around when Ms. Buffett was a part of taking down Head Start. And I was around when pandemic came around and everybody closed except for the real daycares, even educare closed. I would advocate that the monies that Senator Wayne and Senator McKinney advocated, that $7,000 that it goes to the daycares, and daycares become the new schools. You're already good with the United States USDA.
Thank you, Mr.
And so all we need is just educated teachers in order to start new schools.
Thank you, Mr. King. Ms. Watson.
I don't want to get away from the fact we're running for city council, and city council can only do so much. But I do know where Miss Easter's coming from. And it was taken away when Buffett came in. And what we need to do is see what we can do as a community and through city council and other organizations out there, because there are good home daycares. And many of you, that's how you came up. And you wouldn't be where you're at if you hadn't had those. So.
All right, thank you, Ms. Weston. Ms. Goodwin.
I would just like to say, and I've heard Gwen's story and I've known her for a long time. And one of the things I talked to her about doing before, and I'd be willing to help her do, is to pivot. Because a lot of times when you have those talents and passions, there's another place and lane that it could be utilized in. And so I know you can't go back in the past and maybe fix the past, but there's a way to use your talents today, Gwen, to benefit the community in maybe a new and innovative way.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next question.
Mine is a simple question. As a Hispanic,
Can you speak up a little louder?
how Black community can work with Hispanic communities and become stronger.
The question was, how can the Black community work better with the Latino community?
Right now, we're building a new radio station, a new Hispanic radio station, 91.1, that will be launching. I helped 7 other new radio stations. I just haven't told you guys about it. 4 new radio stations going to be happening here in Omaha. So it's going to be the first international station where it's going to be Hispanic dialect and also African dialect. And so that's what we're going to be doing.
Okay. Anybody else want to answer that question? Ms. West?
Again, it's a two-way street. We've got to learn to work together. And sometimes we try to get a minority contractors association, but because one side wanted this and the other side, we could not come together. I'm willing to work. If you've got ideas for people that you know that want to work, I think it's a great idea because the more numbers make a difference.
Thank you, Ms. Weston. Mr. Wright.
Hermana, I am a student of the great Fred Hampton, who established the original Rainbow Coalition, which included the Black Panthers as well as the Young Lords. We have to understand that we have a similar oppressor, and we have to also understand that sometimes we're not always going to agree. That doesn't mean we're disrespecting each other. That just means that we're disagreeing. It's also why I'm a big advocate for immigrants' rights, because immigrants are also African people, by the way. And when we understand that and don't let the white supremacists divide us, because that's in their benefit. When we come together, we are more powerful, we will win. I want to hear more of your ideas for sure.
Los entes de España es muy importante para este barrio. Y ellos pueden aprender en los trades con construcción, en otras skills para todos comunidad. Well, what I said is that the Spanish community is very important to this community, and they could help train in the construction trades to expand jobs in our community.
Anybody else want to have?
I just would extend an invitation. I'm happy to sit down meet with you. I know it's a two-way street, like Cheryl Weston said, and you're in the best position to offer that insight and how we can move forward. But I do know that North Omaha is a very multicultural, diverse community. And in fact, the house I just sold, a Hispanic family bought it, and the house across the street, a Hispanic family bought it. And so I look forward to that partnership that we can foster and hopefully achieve good outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you for those responses, candidates. We're going to move on to the next question.
30 seconds.
Thank you. We've already talked about public transit, but as an avid rider myself, I did hear some things that I liked and did not like. So my question, one thing that I did hear was that the city does not or cannot do anything in regards to public transit. That is all the RTA. That's false. Other cities put funding for public transit into their budgets. Omaha does not. Right. Has not for some time. And the Omaha Climate Action Resilience Plan calls for Omaha's ridership to basically double by 2035, I believe. So my question to you guys is, will you fight to commit and or reallocate the city budget to public transit, aka the RTA, to expand public transit options for our people?
All right, Mr. Lee.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think that one, collaborating with our members who are the similar board is very important. But two, this is why I talked about reallocating some of the funds that the $225 million the police department is getting. A simple fix of $2 million to help the RMATA invest in public transportation and increase ridership by 2030 is going to be important. But unless the city is putting a line budget item into the budget, we're not going to see that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lee.
I couldn't agree more that we need dollars from the city budget for transit. Although I do know that the streetcar was not directly from the city budget, we should have been fixing transit and connecting transit better before we did a streetcar. I know that's already done, but definitely that's a fight worth having, and I'm willing to talk about it on or off the council because North 24th Street is a major thoroughfare.
I agree with you 100%, Peyton. I've been fighting my entire career to increase public transit as a function of climate justice. I do think that it is still potentially possible to draw down federal dollars from the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act for a 100% clean fleet as per the plans of the Climate Action Plan. And let's get it done. Absolutely. If the city won't do it, we certainly can find ways to do it ourselves. We don't have to rely on the full city. City council districts as units of municipalities can also draw that money down and make it happen.
As I get, no, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Adrienne Burns, and I have recently launched Inspire 75N grant services. So the services I offer are towards nonprofits and small businesses to help increase their funding, find funding opportunities for them that's outside of local opportunities, right? But in order to do that, it's big to build relationships. My question to you all is, how are you going to build relationships with your fellow council members in order to push those initiatives that you are stating here today, and be able to navigate that landscape, knowing that they recently passed a charter to include a code of conduct? Because you can definitely show us what you're going to do here, but you have to also keep those things in mind when it's time to work with the other side.
Well, you know, I'm the example of loving thy neighbor. I have invited all the members on my radio station to advocate, you know, their platform. And so I've advocated, you know, loving our neighbor and actually have done it and have come on. Because I don't feel that it's competition. We're applying for a job, and so it's not personal. And so I want to make sure that we continue that open door policy, and that's what we'll do.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Johnson.
I would say this: I have a certain philosophy or conviction that, you know, we have to be able to work with whoever the mayor is, no matter who the mayor is, in order to get things done, and also to work with city officials, whoever they are, to get things done. And you know, I've sat with Brinker Harding, I've sat with Amy Milton, I've sat with Pete Festerson, I've sat with Ron Hugg, and they all appreciate what we offer. It's not this hard line partisan divide. These are tangible. We have tangible ideas that we can implement in the first 4 years, so they don't turn into empty promises that get swept under the rug after the election.
Mr. Wright.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Maurice that we definitely have to work with people we don't always agree with, and I'm absolutely down to do that. But we also have to push back when people are doing things that harm us. And so I'm wondering if all of the candidates on stage would join me in signing a letter to the Nebraska Democrat Party expressing our chagrin and disappointment in the fact that they have been colluding secretly with a Republican anti-DEI mayoral candidate when there are two Black Democrats who are running. So I'm all about a code of conduct, but we also have to stand up for ourselves when people are not standing with us.
Next question. And only you gonna
Can I not answer? I wanted to answer that one.
Well, you can answer the next one. Go ahead.
Damn, I don't know.
Oh man, go ahead. 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. I would like to give my God first and foremost.
Yes, ma'am.
Past and future panel. My name is Tammy Wright. I sit on the Metro Community College Board of Governors.
Yes,
I
yes.
campaigned because I wanted to advocate for the students and children. I did a presentation at Metro, invited some of the community leaders in reference to the young man who shot the other man in Northwest with in District 2. In my research, I discovered that there was the National Public School Association was doing a study nationally where there was 1 million offenses and non-offenses. I will get to my question.
Because we pressed the time.
Okay. And my question is, how would you facilitate protecting these children who now the law has passed that they will convict them at 11 years old?
Yeah, so that bill hasn't passed yet. Yep, that hasn't been passed yet. But I will say that we all need to make sure that we go out there and fight against it as much as possible, right? So when there is a hearing coming up against to get it,
Tomorrow,
all right? Yeah, thank you.
Tomorrow, 1:30.
So I better see you guys all down there.
And also
And so-
challenge, excuse me, and also challenge the panel because I'm very disturbed by how you collectively have orchestrated this panel to read Corinthians 13:11.
Get it.
It's a debate.
Next question.
All right.
Oh, can we offer another quick question? I mean, I just wanted to add, I
Because
agree.
y'all gonna have to talk to her afterwards.
I agree with, I agree with Mr. Lee. If that bill passes, we have to be prepared to get it on the ballot initiative and repeal it, just like we did school choice.
I appreciate y'all taking y'all sweet time coming out tonight. I think it was a great debate, very entertaining.
It's a debate, right, y'all?
My question is, how are you guys going to merge the small businesses into the big corporations? Everybody talking about all this money being allocated to North Omaha, 24th Street, 15 million here, 200 KD here. We didn't get none of the millions coming down here. So I'm just trying to figure out how are the small businesses going to benefit from this money, and how are you at City Council going to help with that position?
Well, I propose that, you know, a lot of times when, as I said before, when there's businesses in the North Omaha, they get the money and they fail quickly. So we got to make sure that we can identify the problems why these businesses are constantly failing. And what we need is mentorship with bigger corporations so that they can come in and teach technical skills and teach the skills that are necessary to bring these businesses up so they reach a level of scalability.
The white man not doing that. Please deal with it, please.
So Mr. Dupree, I owe you an email response back because I talked about $5.2 million that have been raised for street lighting on North 24th Street. And I can't promise you a contract, but you need to know about it. You need to know how to respond to an RFP. So that's first of all. But I can't stress enough of these hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming. Let's get our trades. Let's get these kids ready. Some of these juniors, in 2 years, they could be ready to be working in a lot of these construction projects that are coming down the pipeline.
And with the program being great step up, we're working with a lot of those.
We're gonna let the candidates answer the first question, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, I just want to be honest with you, brother. I am absolutely against small businesses merging with big corporations because the moment that happens, it will not be your business anymore. Instead, I want to make sure you have all the resources you need to succeed. We don't need big corporations coming in to train our people. We've got Metro, which is an incredible institution and incredible facility. But when we're talking about creating jobs, we also have to make sure those are unionized jobs so that workers are protected. That's all I'm saying.
We're gonna move on to the next question here. Next question.
Hello, my name is Chantel Wallace. First of all, I want to pay homage to the two women that's out here running for city council. Acknowledge all of you who stood up out of respect, which is what you're supposed to do on this type of platform. My question is, and I've been knowing for decades, when you keep saying money is allocated to North Omaha, many people don't know any street north of Dodge Street is North Omaha.
That's right.
And some of you people have been around for years. And y'all allowed these people to come in, build those hotels. North Omaha. North Omaha. So, okay, so how are you going to guarantee that this money, well, you can't guarantee, but y'all let the people come in and get the money for North Omaha. And it wasn't North Omaha people that was getting.
You haven't had a chance to talk. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, say that again for me now, Chantel.
All of the businesses in the beginning, the money was allocated for North Omaha. Anything north of Dodge Street is considered North Omaha.
Correct.
A lot of those buildings are technically considered downtown and was not for our community. And millions and hundreds of millions of dollars were allocated. How are we going to get the money? Brother Dupree, one of the best electricians in the state of Nebraska, how is he going to get a good contract and do stuff like that instead of 1 block north of Dodge Street?
Okay, well now, I need to be a little bit more clear about what you're talking about. You're talking about the whole, because you mentioned hotels and all of that, and that's all private development. You don't have anything to do with that. What are you talking about specifically? The dollars that came in?
The funds that are allocated for North Omaha, anything.
Which funds? I don't know which funds you're
It's
talking about.
federal funds. It's it's hundreds of million dollars.
Come on, brother. Are you referring to the ARPA funds? Those are already allocated, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
The money that's allocated is misrepresented.
That's right.
For North Omaha, is what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Because 1 block north of Dodge Street is not, is that North Omaha, anybody in here? No.
My thing is, I would like to see, and I understand exactly, we all know money has come into North Omaha and they want to, because the thing, you cannot have a progressive ghetto. And that's what they're doing, is because there's millions of dollars that come into here and it doesn't get to North Omaha, it trickles down. So I would like to work with and set up a community advisory group to see when those, and make people know when this money comes so that we can decide where it goes and stop giving it to the same old organizations.
The only thing I would add to that, ma'am, I would just correct Ms. Sher real quick. It's not trickling down.
Final question.
Okay, it's not trickling down, man. It's getting clogged and going to the same people. If it was trickling down, you would know about it.
I'd love to talk to you about that more.
Leo Lewis, most people already know who I am.
I know.
A little disappointed in some of the answers that I'm hearing here. For the last 3 years, I've been at Carter Lake every Sunday, so I ain't seen nobody down there. So if you say you've been at Carter Lake, I've been here, handing out water. I spend $2,000 every year doing that out of my own pocket, because I love my community that much. So I know the Native Omaha Day is coming up this year. It's one of the biggest economic drivers in our part of town. Also, District 2 is way bigger than 24th Street. So my question to you is, if we want 24th Street or any other part of North Omaha to look just as flourishing as South Omaha, how do we keep the cultural integrity of our community as it relates to the Black population? Because when you mix the income and you mix the ethnic demographic of a community, you lose the cultural integrity of community. And I'm not with being Black history, I'm in Black heritage. I want to stay here. The cultural integrity of our community. That means Black-owned businesses, Black-owned.
Yeah, I have a, with the limited time I have a specific answer to your question, and we need a Black media trust. I think it's critical that we have a Black media trust so that Black media organizations in here, it would certainly, it's not just talk, it's possible because partnerships like this have happened before. Philanthropic, private money, like you said, private money, public money, so that we can support a self-sustaining Black media ecosystem so that Black media can control the narrative of the community. Because we know that, no offense to the white media here, but we know that historically white media has painted a picture of us in a way that is not fair.
Last question, Mr. Jackson, then we out of here because it's late.
Yeah, I believe that.
I live in this community, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Because us peanut galleries, we don't have to be up there. So thank all you guys. Because you guys are doing something that we want you to work for us, though. Okay? That's right. This hand right here, one finger at a time is weak. But if I ball it up together, then we're together. My question is, one person up there is going to win. And we got what? 9 or 10 is going to lose. Right. Will you work with whoever the winner is and help us do it? One word answer. That's all we need.
I just raised my hand.
Will you or not, Ms. Weston? Will you or not? Will you or not? Will you or not?
Yes. We need the whole game.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. My thing, Mr. Yuri. All right, we're going to eat first. Hold on. I want to give these three a round of applause for
Yeah, I think we need to get some feedback to it because it needs to be done.
Just a little bit more rules on right now. If it's not directly tied to a mental right, things have all of the non-existent.
A lot of people turned down. All right now.
Ever.
Y'all done made history with this. This is beautiful.
Look, I can't focus on everything where you handle your business. I know you're handling your business. I know. Yes, ma'am. Have we met before? I think I have. You did a great job. Thank you. You know, so many people are